Ladies and gentlemen out there, this is Artie Lang.
This is disgusting. Everybody's too nice now. We're all so nice, aren't we? But the thing is, we're not nice. Secretly, we're mean. That's essentially the show.
It is funny. I cannot be a bigger just blob of nothingness and negativity.
Party time. You want to get a little limbo dance going? Come on, I'll do it. The third person at the table was the bottom of my stomach. With hair and paleness and stretch marks.
American Nightmare.
Weight like a spider.
And this talks about every controversial subject you can imagine.
Shock jock Artie Lang on Media Day. Can't be with that sweet stuff. Nah.
Smack the sugar right out of you.
Welcome to the Artie Quitter Podcast, The Breakfast Show. People ask me, what's that reference? I say, welcome to The Breakfast Show. There's a Rolling Stones documentary called Give Me Shelter. And in the beginning, they play, it's from like 1970 or 71. I would very much recommend it. It's one of the best rock documentaries, one of the best documentaries in general that I've ever seen. And in the beginning, the Rolling Stones play Jumpin' Jack Flash to open it. Keith Richards, Mick Taylor was in the band. And for some reason, it's a Madison Square Garden show. For some reason, Mick Jagger says, "Welcome to the Breakfast Show." I don't know why he says that, and I don't know what he means. It's just rock and roll cool to me. So that's why I opened with Welcome to the Breakfast Show. It's about Altamont. For you young people, the Stones, to answer the fact that they had a falling out and did not go to Woodstock in the summer of 69, to answer that, in December of 69, they had their own free concert that 300,000 people ended up going to. And they did it outside of San Francisco. It was supposed to be in Golden Gate Park. It ended up being at the Altamont Speedway, which was a racetrack right outside of San Francisco. Again, 300,000 people showed up, hippies and drugs, people mixing LSD and meth, people out of their minds. Several people were killed, but most famously, a black guy was shot. A black guy wearing like a pimp green suit was shot. No, not shot. He was stabbed. He had a gun and was attempting to shoot at the stage. And video and eyewitness accounts prove this. This is why the guy who stabbed him never got convicted. You could clearly see a gun that he points at the stage and was going to shoot somebody, maybe Mick Jagger. And he was stabbed by the security. And who did security for the show is the real story. The Stones claim they didn't think of this. It wasn't their idea. I happen to think it's bullshit. And I think they hung these guys out to dry. Instead of cops or a security firm, the Rolling Stones hired the Hells Angels motorcycle gang to be security at Altamont Speedway for the show. And I think they thought that would make it more edgy, more Rolling Stones, more rock and roll. I think they figured the Beatles would hire cops because the Beatles are nice. We're the edgy, bad boy Rolling Stones. We have the Hells Angels doing security for us. And they really threw the Hells Angels into an impossible situation. These people were nuts. These people, the people who came to the show were nuts. And the Hells Angels didn't know what to do. And they did what they felt was right in being pretty aggressive. And attacking these people because they were attacking them. These guys were on LSD and methamphetamine. I think that's what they were mixing it with. Not the Angels, the people in the crowd. Oh. And the Angels had to do what they had to do. And people, especially Mick Jagger and Keith Richards in the beginning, gave the Hells Angels shit for beating people up. They were saving lives, the Hells Angels. If you look at the tape, this guy was going to shoot at the stage. It looks like he's aiming for Mick Jagger, because the other thing that's amazing about it is all this is happening 3 feet from Mick Jagger. Whoever planned this was retarded. I don't know who planned out the stage, the architecture of the whole thing. There wasn't really a stage. It looked like the Stones were playing charades at a living room that fit 300,000 people in it. And these guys who were making all this noise and this trouble were 3 feet from the Rolling Stones. The song Under My Thumb was playing, a real slow bluesy version of that tune that I love. And this kid goes kind of nuts. And what was the guy's name? Meredith Hunter? Meredith Hunter was the name of the black kid. Young kid. And he has a gun that you see in the video later. And he points it at the stage. And a Hell's Angel stabs the guy. grabs him and stabs him before he can shoot, and he's just about to shoot. And Jagger, and I love the Stones. I love Jagger. I'm a huge fan of the Rolling Stones. But they're in the wrong here. Jagger hung the Hells Angels out to dry and gave them shit for being in the wrong when this guy in the Hells Angels probably saved Mick Jagger's life. And that sounds like a pretty bold statement, but I'm telling you, it's the truth. If you look at it, he definitely saved somebody's life because he was going to shoot somebody, and it might have been Jagger. He was pointing at him, and he was only 3 feet away. And this Hells Angels guy, basically in self-defense, stabbed the guy, and the guy died. And it's one of the most amazing stories from the 60s. And it's December of 69, and a lot of people point to that as historians. Point to that as when the 60s and the peace and love and the flower children, when all that officially ended. Not just time-wise, because it was about to be 1970 on the calendar, but attitude-wise, emotionally. The peace and love ended, and the crazy fucking 70s were about to come, and the 70s were crazy. I can remember being a kid, at the 1977 World Series when I was 10 years old. My dad, when he threw me on the fucking field, and told me to meet him at shortstop while cops were beating hippies over the head with, billy clubs and stuff like that. My father said, meet you at shortstop, and 20 minutes later he found me because my father was a nut from the 70s. Everybody was nuts. And as a kid, it was like watching a movie. I remember being 10 years old. Maybe Joe can relate to this because you're the same age.
Yeah.
The 70s were so crazy, and I can remember as a 10-year-old kid watching it like it was happening on TV or something. And it affected me as a kid growing up around that time. And Altamont and the Stones concert, when that kid was shot and the Hells Angels were security, is when it ended, I think. All that peace, love bullshit.
So that Bryan Adams song's actually hipper than I thought.
Which one? Which Bryan?
Summer of '69. Isn't that his cheesy song?
I don't think it's about that. But, that's about him getting laid in the summer of '69. Joe with a horrible analogy. But no, the summer of '69 was a big year because I think either '67 or '69 they called the Summer of Love. Summer of '69 was Woodstock. And Danny, why were the Stones not at Woodstock? They had to be invited, or they weren't invited because they had a falling out, or they didn't want to follow the Who. Yes. There was some bullshit like that. No one wanted to follow Hendrix. After the Monterey Pop Festival, nobody wanted to follow Jimi Hendrix, even the Who, and they were forced to. And I think the Stones were afraid to follow the Who and Hendrix, and they were like, "Fuck it, either just invite us or we're not going." And because of that, they had their own thing in December, and it turned into a complete disaster. But make no mistake, watch Gimme Shelter, the story of the Rolling Stones and Altamont. And the Hells Angels are heroes there, man. And Jagger hung them out to dry. And another great story that came out on the BBC a couple of years ago, and we're trying to find this documentary because I'm fascinated by it. The Hells Angels, because of that, tried to kill Mick Jagger. There's a story where 5 Hells Angels were in a boat off the coast of Long Island, going to the Hamptons where Jagger had a summer home. They were going to, land on the beach and assassinate Mick Jagger. They were going to do a home invasion, go in his house and assassinate Mick Jagger.
They don't grab it.
They were trying to do it because they were pissed at him because of the Altamont thing. And I mean, that's how the story ends. The boat sunk. Supposedly the boat sunk. They never made it to the shore, and no one really knew if Jagger found out about the plot or not, but the FBI thwarted it. The FBI found out about it and stopped it, and there was never another attempt. But the Angels and the Hells Angels are not guys that you piss off. I'm not going to say how I officially know that, but you don't piss off the Hells Angels.
No.
And Jagger pissed them off. And you know what? Jagger was in the wrong. They saved his fucking life at that concert. And he hung him out to dry.
What did he hang him out to dry right afterwards when they were trying to figure out the situation?
Right after he says, look, they were too violent. It was a mistake hiring them, and I will never, supposedly the quote is, I will never be officially involved with them publicly or in any way again.
Well, it's weird because in that documentary, we were watching it because you had it playing in like the background of the first week of our podcast.
That's how I am with documentaries. Dan, anybody who's ever lived with me, any chick will tell you this. When I love a documentary, I watch it 50 straight times.
Yeah, it was just on.
50 straight times. It's on a loop usually, and I watch it for 2 straight weeks.
But in that section of it where the gun comes out and you see the stabbing happen, you see Mick Jagger in a room watching the clip.
He's watching the clip.
So I don't understand. You can see the gun and then the stabbing, and why is he still mad? I don't get it.
Because it's all about image, and who knows if he was getting bad advice from a manager or publicity people. But I feel Jagger was in the mode where, look, if I admit I'm in the wrong, it's really, I think he could have been indicted. It might have been a legal issue, inciting a riot, blah, 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 whatever. Right. So he put it all on the Hells Angels. And the guy who was the leader of the Hells Angels, this guy Sonny Barger, was a really cool guy. He called into a radio show and they played in the documentary, and he's like, this Jagger, man, he put it all on the fucking Angels, man. We were a dupe for that motherfucker. Fuck him. As far as I'm concerned, we were the biggest sucker for that idiot there ever could be, And they're listening to it, and he's clearly right, the guy's right. And Charlie Watts goes, well done, Sonny. Because I think they all knew that the Angels were in the right, and it's an amazing documentary. Amazing. Dan, what are your thoughts on that?
I know that Mick was doing a movie also
Mick,
that
as
summer.
if he knows him. Go ahead.
Mick Jagger, and he was also doing a movie that summer.
He was.
And it was going to be really close.
Was it the movie Performance? The one he fucked Keith Richards' wife on?
No.
That's another story about Jagger.
Ned something? Was it Ned?
Okay. I'm not sure, but go ahead.
Ned
it's not
Kelly,
important.
maybe?
Yeah.
He was doing a movie that summer, and it would have been really close for him to get the Woodstock or not from Australia, because they were shooting in Australia.
Wait. So now you're going back in the story. Now you're saying why he couldn't make it to Woodstock.
Yes.
All right. See, I think that was a bullshit reason. I don't think he wanted to follow Hendrix or The Who. I mean, they always say there's a rule in rock and roll, you don't follow The Who, which is why I had all these tribute things from 9/11 to Sandy. They're always last,
It's funny that I think following only exists in comedy, because like when big laughs,
it's harder
to
rock, man.
Rock is, I don't imagine it happening for some stupid reason, because there's that long break. They switch the stage over. It's not like here.
Not all the time. Sometimes it's pretty quick. At the Monterey Pop Festival, everybody underrated Hendrix because he wasn't really famous yet, and the Who said, "Sure, we'll go on after him," and he just fucking destroyed the stage.
Yeah, he was famous in England. He wasn't famous in the States yet.
Right. They didn't think it'd be as hard, and they couldn't follow him. And Hendrix became a big star. And then, so the Stones are like, fuck it, we're not. I think Jagger used the movie thing as an excuse. That's my opinion. But anyway, that's why I say welcome to the breakfast show. Because at the beginning of it, Jagger, who ultimately I love, I think he's in the wrong there. The Stones are just as cool as it fucking gets. That's why I say it. He starts that documentary off. Your thoughts, Joe?
I thought welcome to the breakfast show was your way of saying that it's early for comedians, 1 in the afternoon. Like, that's what I thought you were saying.
Well, that's also why I think it's appropriate.
Right.
I think I'm stealing it from Gimme Shelter, but it's also appropriate for this. Chris, your thoughts?
My Rolling Stones was DMX. Just so
God, you gotta ruin it. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here. Y'all gonna make me act a fool. Up in here.
That's later DMX. That's
oh, shut up. I only know commercial DMX. I'm sorry.
That's later.
I think DMX is a talented guy. I was on the Stern Show for 8.5 years. He was scheduled, in the time I was on Stern, DMX was scheduled to come on, I'm going to say 11 times. He didn't come on once. He didn't show up once.
If you ever get him, his interviews are spectacular.
I'm sure. That's why Howard wanted him. He kept going, having him come back, because Howard's interviews with Old Dirty Bastard are some of the best. It's some of the best radio you'll ever hear.
ODB is a great interview.
He wanted I'm ODB, I'm Dirt Dog, Dirt Dog ODB, because he had 7 names. Yeah. But DMX, that song by DMX, there's a couple of tunes. I'm sure you'd think they're commercial. By DMX that I love. One is, y'all gonna make me act a fool. Up and here. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Y'all gonna make me punch this bitch. Y'all gonna make me hit a ditch.
A little bit of paraphrasing was done, but I get it.
I'm freestyling. I'm freestyling, motherfucker. Eventually, here's what that song sounds like to me. It just becomes this noise.
It sounds like marching. That's like
You know
that
the
sounds
tune
like
I'm-
military marching.
Do you know the tune I'm talking about?
Dude, you lose me complete. I have zero rap knowledge.
But that's
I went to a
real
high
big
school with
song.
two
That's a
black
huge-
kids.
It's a huge
Did
song.
I know? A lot of Jews.
All Jewish, two black kids, and I grew up. I graduated in '85, like you did. There wasn't rap.
But no,
down there.
85
dance
was,
music.
85 was when rap was just starting. I first heard rap in my buddy Mike Horton. Black Kid was one of my best fucking friends. I know that sounds stereotypical, but Horton was one of my best friends to this day. I love the kid like a brother. He was a quarterback for the football team, and he used to have
Got a black quarterback?
Yeah, he's amazing.
He
looked exactly like Randall Cunningham.
That's
like, to the
very
point-
forward thinking at the time.
We were at a club in Staten Island once in the mid 80s. We got in underage 70 Club Quintessence. I'll never forget it in Staten Island.
Sounds fun.
And we had these 7 Guidos thinking he was Randall Cunningham.
That's fun.
He signed autographs and took pictures.
That's Randall.
He looks like Randall Cunningham.
Some dude brought his sister over. He was like, "Look, I know what you're going to do. Just don't tell me about it." All right?
Was his nose like 6 feet wide?
Listen, I'm not going to get into talking about my friends and racial terms.
Randall had a wide ass nose.
Did I ever tell you my John Facenda thing I made up about Cunningham and Lawrence Taylor?
No.
I made this up. This is my finest hour. They called the Titanic unsinkable. They called Randall Cunningham unsackable. The Titanic hit an iceberg in the North Atlantic. Randall Cunningham hit an outside linebacker in North New Jersey. And just cut the Taylor sacking him. But so I knew a lot of rap. I mean, listen, I went to high school with it was like 33% black, 33% Italian, 33% Irish, and then other. Yeah. It was really like so. Maybe that is a difference, but I'm talking about mainstream songs. Like that DMX song is a mainstream.
But what year would you say DMX came out? Like on the scene in the late '90s, mid '90s.
If you were listening to at all pop radio at all, you might have heard that song.
I didn't.
Or did you ever go to a club
I used to DJ when I was like at clubs.
You never heard "Y'all Gonna Make Me Lose My Mind"?
But
I can't believe
we're talking '89 to like '91 is when I used to DJ, and I had the records and the two Technique
turntables and a
1200s.
microphone?
I had all that shit.
Then I can't fucking believe you never heard that song.
DMX wasn't out. It was
a huge.
I had Cool Mo D. I remember him.
Cool Mo D.
Well, that's really going back.
That's who was like the rapper then. Like I said, Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah, LL.
Let me think. LL Cool J. Who was that other guy? Who was the one who? Oh God, who like sang really bad, and that was like the joke.
Oh,
Bismarcky. I remember him. What year was he?
He was about 88-ish, right?
Tone Loc.
Yeah, this is all mid '80s.
That's late '80s, mid to late '80s.
Yeah.
But LL Cool J had a tune out that this kid Horton had a mixtape of, and it was kind of like he had edited it to where it went like sitting at the mall, chilling with the milkshake, sitting at the mall, chilling with the mall milk mall, sitting at the mall, chilling with the milk mall shake, mall, sitting at the milk, chilling with the mall shake, sitting at the mall, sitting at the mall shake, chilling with the milk mall, sitting at the mall shake, chilling with the mall shake, milkwig mall. He mixed it up to that,
and it's a hit.
Well, it was a hit in his car.
It was a cassette where he edited it. Yeah, Chris, your thoughts on him not knowing DMX?
I'm pissed off a little bit. You keep claiming DJ status, and
was DMX the guy? He had like a really rough voice.
Yeah.
Well,
he talk real fast. You know what I'm saying?
He's got street cred. He's done time too, I think.
He's the shit. Yeah, he's from Yonkers.
I'm not saying I never heard of DMX. I'm saying I can't tell you his songs, but I heard of him.
I mean, I'm not.
I'm not that white.
Did you ever hear that song, Dan? Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. You gotta hear that. So you worked in radio.
Yes.
Yeah, you worked in radio.
Yeah, it's a big song.
I'm whiter than Dan.
And to be a DJ.
Two big DMX songs. You got Up in Here, and then you got Party Up. The one,
well, how does that go?
DM, and if you want it, you got it.
Yeah, I know that.
Dude, I grew up with these. Okay, Cherry Hill, New Jersey is where I grew up. The whole high school was either Italians or Jewish kids, right? And
A lot of Italians?
A lot of it. Well, not a
'Cause
lot.
my ex-fiance went to Cherry Hill East.
Right, that's where I went.
Right.
Now, was she Jewish?
No.
Okay. Not Italian. She was like waspy.
Yeah, wasp, yeah.
Right. That's probably even more rare. Like there used to be an area in the school called C Wing, and it was just like there would be black kids on one corner, the few of them that there were, and then on the other corner of it were all the Italian kids in like parachute pants.
Right.
You know, and like some of them and they wore sweatpants rolled all the way up to the knee. That was popular
I've
with the
seen that.
cigarettes
I've seen that.
like turned inside the ankle.
Well, did you ever do that thing if you had if you were wearing sweats and one leg was up to the knee, that meant you were holding.
Really?
That meant you had weed or blow. That's what I. But you know, a lot of people on Twitter are liking the Joe Matarese '80s character.
Oh, they love it.
Pants.
My brother says I need to bring that back.
What the fuck? Come on! I'm in C Wing at Cherry Hill East. I'm at C Wing, you Jews. I'm hanging with the fucking Jews. That's why I'm witty. I'm a funny guy.
My younger brother is always like, dude, you need to bring that back. Like he looks at old pictures.
Back, yeah.
No, like more Italian version of me when I was doing stand up. Like Sebastian.
Well, you're more of an intellectual than that look.
Yeah.
I mean, you are. You know,
Sebastian Maniscalco and I worked together once, and I was interviewing him for my podcast, and he's like, "So what's your uniform?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "What do you wear up there?" Like I had like he looks at it like you need a uniform.
Where he grew up, those are all those Italians, right?
The Chicago Italians.
Yep.
He was like, what is your uniform? And I was like, I don't really have one. But now that I thought back, like when I started stand up, I mean, I had Cavaricci pants and jeans. I had a mullet.
I remember seeing you.
You didn't know me then. It was 89, 90 in South Jersey. I never came up to New York.
I hate to break this to you, but by the mid-90s, you were still drinking.
I had a pinky ring.
Oh!
I had a pinky ring with the letter J on it with a diamond in the middle.
Jesus
That's an emo cut. Pinky ring. D diamond flawless clear emo cut.
I also had those loafers with no socks, Cavaricci's. And I'll never forget it. Some guy tried to start a fight with me when I was leaving a DJ.
Of course he did.
He's like, "You're hitting on my girl," and I was carrying my milk crates of 12-inch records, and I was like, "Dude, I wasn't hitting on your girl. I don't know what you're talking about." And he just starts swinging at me, and I'm holding the crates of records, and that's when it hit me. I was like, I'm in a fight, and I got a lucky punch in with the pinky ring and hit him right in the eye.
Pinky ring in a fight, man.
Gouged the eye. It started bleeding, and then I just sprinted out of my shoes, like I'm running barefoot.
Out of my Capizio. Me and Sebastian Maniscalco. Manicotti Sebastian. Where's your uniform?
This is even more pathetic. I paid a bouncer at the club next door. There was 2 clubs next to each other. I ran to the other club, found this huge guy. I go, "Dude, this is how cheap I am. I go, I'll give you $5 if you walk me back to my car."
Cheap? That's how much of a pussy.
This dude was big, who I clipped in the fucking eye. The bouncer walks me back to my car. The dude who I hit in the eye just pushes the bouncer out of the way like he didn't exist, like a Lawrence Taylor arm swoop, and just came at me again.
Made the guy null and void.
Yeah,
I mean, you paid him $5 to walk you. He was like, "Hey, I'm walking."
Yeah, he didn't do shit.
Yeah,
I end up running again in my bare feet. My feet are bleeding from running through parking lots.
Easiest fin the guy ever made.
If you paid me to walk you, I would have been like, "Look, you didn't pay me to fight. You paid me to walk."
That's hilarious.
I gave you to walk.
How much more money to walk a dog?
I lost the Italian in me. Somehow it washed out.
I lost the Italian in me.
We got to do a makeover show. We should do a makeover show. Get your Italian back.
Sometimes I blame my wife because I put a tank top on to go to sleep when we were dating for like a month, and she goes, "What is that you're wearing?"
Well, tank top. You mean like
a guinea tee. I put a black guinea tee on to go to sleep, like Rocky II style.
Do what you got to do.
And she just goes, "You got to get that shirt off. It's just turning me off completely."
Right.
So I took it off, and then the Italian just slowly went away. I think
That's what happens. Sometimes it comes out, like I say, when I'm having dinner with very waspy people. I feel like Woody Allen in Annie Hall, where he thinks he looks like a rabbi. I become like John Gotti. I'm like, "Pass the butter. Can I get some stuffing?" So, Artie, are you in a gang? No. What's that mean?
start ordering anisette or sambuca.
He got an anisette with some 3 beans, Zambuca, and some Quattro y Tres.
Have you ever seen the sketch on SNL where Pesci was the host and he's going to buy a pinky ring at the Italian ringery?
Yes,
it's called
yes.
Italian ringery.
Oh, it's one of the funniest sketches. Go look it up on YouTube. He's looking in a mirror with the pinky ring on, like doing fake shots of Sambuca, and then he starts cursing at the mirror with his hand, looking at the ring. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
All right, well, so that's that. That's why I call it Welcome to the Breakfast Show.
So that's that.
Anyway, so I promised this to, again, a lot of Stern fans and people who have my second book wanted me to do this. I'm going to get into this, and I'll again, I promised and teased this. I'll do this today. I wanted to do it at the end of my Stern rap last week when you guys weren't here, because I had time by myself, but I didn't get a chance to get to it. So I'll get to this now. Basically, here's how I ended, partially, how I ended my second book. When you're truly down and out, the way I've been, you really find out who has your back and whose friendships have been nothing but steaming piles of bullshit. I'm happy to say that 99% of my friends were amazing, all truly great people who helped me in ways I can't describe and can only hope to pay back. But there was also 1% who were the opposite. I won't name them here because I plan to let them know sometime in the future in a more surprising and hurtful way. These people treated me so badly that their behavior could have only come from a place of insane hate and jealousy. Now I know when you look at me, it's hard to believe that someone could be jealous of me for any reason. Don't ask me how, but these jerk-offs found a way. They treated me as if my career and my life in general were completely over. I might as well have been dead and buried. On the one hand, look, can you blame them? They were just playing the odds. I was in bad shape. So if you hate me for some reason, why not pile on? In the end, they lost because with the help of the 99% who were good to me, I made it. I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. My hatred for that 1% runs deep, very, very deep. As a matter of fact, if it were legal, I'd have them killed. Don't worry, I'm not going to go back to the joint for one of those dirtbags, but if I were sure I could get away with it, yeah, I'd make a phone call or two and rid the world of those scum fucks forever. However, that is not the case. I know for sure there's no way to get away with it, so this is the last I'll speak of it because I'm not going to do anything to get in trouble. I had my fill of it. All right. So that's pretty harsh, obviously. And people are wondering, it's 2 people I was talking about. One is not that famous. I won't get into it. One is someone you know from me talking about him on the Stern Show. And I am much less angry than when I wrote that. And this person since has gotten sick, actually has cancer, and I feel bad. And I would like to talk to the person and bury the hatchet. And really, if I got a chance to talk to him, ask why they did this to me. The person's name is Sam Simon. Okay, Sam is a guy you know from the Stern Show and me talking about him. I met him when I was on the Norm Show. He directed a couple episodes that I was in. And he's a brilliant guy. He co-created The Simpsons, which he has $2 billion from. He helped executive produce Cheers. He wrote a Barney Miller episode back in the day. He was a co-creator of The Tracy Ullman Show. Again, not only did he create The Simpsons and was the head writer of The Simpsons for the first 3 years, he did a lot of the animation was influenced by him. He wrote, he was the head writer, and people under him at the time were people like Conan O'Brien, and everybody in the comedy world respects him, including me. What happened with me doesn't take away the guy's talent. The guy is as brilliant as a comedy writer comes. He also grew up a rich kid in Beverly Hills, and he went to Stanford on, I believe, a football scholarship, and came out and just from the age of 22 on started working in show business and dominated. Just his resume in sitcoms is Babe Ruthian. He also did a lot for the Drew Carey Show, writing-wise, and directing. He directed an episode of Friends. And like I say, he became good friends with Norm Macdonald. After meeting him and getting on the Stern Show, he was a huge, huge Stern fan. He's the first guy who I respected who called me up and said, look, you're doing a great job on the show. Which meant a whole lot to me. And we became very close friends. We had a deal together. My second year on Howard, NBC and the networks came calling again because I was killing on Howard. And, of course, they all come back. And my buddy Frank Sebastiano, who I wrote Beer League with, who directed Beer League, unbelievably talented guy. Frank, I, and Sam Simon had a deal at NBC. We wrote a script that to this day I think is hilarious under Sam's tutelage, and NBC didn't pick it up. DreamWorks produced it. Jeffrey Katzenberg liked the script. But a woman I believe her name was Joanne Alfano, who was the head of development at the time, or one of the big executives at NBC. Do you know her, Joe?
Yeah, I had a deal with them, and I remember her.
Again, very bright lady, but she didn't think women would relate to the script at all. She didn't like the script, and she, even with Jeffrey Katzenberg and Sam liking it, she put the kibosh on it and did not shoot the pilot. Now, we all made about $300,000, put it in our pocket. That's fun. And I was on Stern, and it was a blast. But it was DreamWorks for NBC, man, with Sam willing to move to New York to run it, as was Frank. I could have set up a situation where I did Stern in the morning and shot this in Manhattan to Chelsea Piers. I'm looking at Chelsea Piers. I could have rode to work on the Hudson River. Right. So she put the kibosh on it, and it didn't work out. But so Sam and I have worked together. He's written roast jokes for me, and we became very good friends. And through me, he met all the Stern Show guys. And he's a huge, huge Howard fan. And we've partied in Vegas. He was as close as a friend can be. After I stabbed myself 9 times on heroin, which, technically is called a suicide attempt, I never tried to commit suicide in my own head, now that I think about it. If I wasn't on drugs or coming off dope, I would not have done this. I was on heroin. But I went away to a mental institution / rehab. It was a combination of the two. And it was a very dark, dark time in my life. Very dark, obviously. So my wounds healed. I went away for a month. And when I got out, I was going to come back to my apartment in Hoboken. My mother was so worried. She goes, Art, I don't know what to tell you. I know you want to be alone, but you have to stay with me if you're not going to stay in rehab or this place, because I'm just afraid. I can't have you do this to yourself again. I have to know you're okay. You have to stay here for a while. So I stayed with my mom to appease her. For a full year, I was basically in bed, as depressed as a person can get. I said, okay, I've dug a lot of holes for myself in life, a lot of them. But how am I going to get out of this one? I've had 9 lives in show business. I should have been thrown out of show business years ago, but I said, this is pretty bad. Howard was great about it. He's like, look, you just have to get better. Fuck show business. You got to go get better. I don't know what to tell you. And I think we should part ways. It's been a fun decade, but I'll support anything else you do, but this isn't working out right now because of your addiction, and you got to go get better, which I thought was an integrity type move. I get a call from Sam, who, again, is a good friend of mine. And he says to me, this is like I'm out of the mental institution for a week. So I'm at the most fragile time of my life, really vulnerable. Like anything could put me over the edge again. And Sam goes, do you plan on working again? And I go, well, eventually, maybe. I don't know if I'm ready now. He goes, well, I wrote a short film. It's about 14 pages long. I'm trying to get the money to finance it, but I have you in mind for the lead. I wrote it with you in mind. And I said, okay, wow. Just hearing that from a friend, knowing they didn't give up on me, made me feel great. I was like, okay, I'd love to see it. He mails me the script, and I read it, and I couldn't believe what I was reading. The entire thing was an insult to me. Like, the entire thing was goofing on me, goofing on my situation, goofing on all my bad points in life. The title was a fat joke. The title was called The Gigantic Behemoth or something like that. And that was basically a fat joke. And he wrote a big monster on the front, which is supposed to be me if you read the script clearly. Mm-hmm. He did animation. That probably took him a long time. He had, paragraphs crossed out like you would with a real script. Like, it took him time to do this. And I don't know what his motive was. That's why I want to talk to him to this day to find out his motive. I don't know what his motive was. Did he think Howard would like this? Did he think Howard would think it's funny and he was defending Howard in a way? I have no idea. But the script made fun of every shortcoming in my life. It goofed on me. Now, look, my comedy is mean and crazy, and I'm not, I'm a big boy, and it wasn't going to get me to kill myself or try again. But Sam did not know that at this point. I was really in a bad way and vulnerable. And if I was truly suicidal, which again, Sam had no way of knowing, no one in my life did, whether I was or not. This is something from a friend that could push you over the top and go, you know what, I'm getting a gun. Because I really don't have any friends. And the one from the friend that I did have that's still trying to get me work is using that relationship to just outright goof on me and maybe push me into doing something harsh again. So I called him up. I said, Sam, this has got to be a joke, right? You're kidding me. And he goes, what are you talking about? And he's giggling the entire way, like almost like I was paranoid. He was taping the conversation. It sounded like maybe somebody else was on the phone. He's laughing at me during the entire... I said, Sam, you got to tell me what's going on here, because clearly you're not trying to raise money for a short film. It doesn't make any sense. This was clearly done as a way to bust my balls. Okay, the joke, I think it's a bad taste, but I'm a comedian. I get it. Fine. Just let the cat out of the bag and tell me. He goes, no, I'm really trying to... And he has an arrogant rich guy way of talking, Sam. He goes, no, I'm really trying to raise money. What's the problem? And then he would giggle like that. And I go, Sam, I don't know what the fuck to even say to this. Like, fuck you, you know. And I got kind of angry. And he goes, you're being hostile for no reason. I'm trying to raise money for this film. And he's not trying to raise money for a short film. I mean, think about it. It doesn't make any sense. It made fun of every offensive thing I might have said on Howard, stuff that might have got me fired. The character is clearly this big slob who, is just a complete loser, and it's based on me. And again, I'll play that in a movie every day, but this is clearly a friend turning on me in a way at my worst, most vulnerable time and goofing on me. And, I got over it pretty quick because no one has the power to do that to me. But he didn't know that, and I said, listen, I'm not offended by this because I don't get offended by stupid bullshit, but our friendship really can't continue if this is how you're, reacting towards me in my time of need, kind of. And anyone who knows me knows I can be pretty harsh with my comedy, but if a friend or a stranger is in need, I'm always very generous and I try to help people out. And I needed help at this point. This was one time where I needed not financial help. Thank God I've always saved my money. I didn't need financial help. But emotional help, yeah. And my buddy Joe Matarese, who's sitting here, was a guy who, when we eventually talked for the first time, it's so funny. I apologized for missing a gig while I was in the mental institution that I had booked with Joe.
Yeah, I couldn't believe
and
you
Joe said
that.
to me, he goes, what are we even talking about? And like, are you okay? I mean, you remember that talk,
Yeah, I
right?
remember it. Yeah, you were at your mom's, and you were as low as I've ever known you. So that's not the time you want to hear
right.
that.
I mean, listen, again, Joe did what a friend would do, what I would do to somebody who was in that position, friend or not. And that's how I expect. Sam used that situation. And again, the motive is what I'm obsessed with. Just out of nowhere to end a friendship like that. He knows I'm a smart guy and I know comedy. He knows I'm going to know he's goofing on me. He knows I'm going to know he's not trying to raise money for a short film. And I've talked to people in my life who I'm close with, and I've shared it with them. People who know Sam, they know Sam can be an evil, vicious motherfucker, but with me and in this situation, they couldn't believe even he did something like this. And they said, you have to confront him to feel better. So I've been in California a bunch of times, thought about going to see him. I contacted him on Twitter in a way of saying, Sam, do you have money for that short film? Let's talk. And he doesn't get back to me. Maybe he's trying to, and I don't know. But another fucked up thing happened, and here's why I'm proving the kind of person I am. In the meantime, in the middle of all this, I hear that Sam has cancer. He had colon cancer, and Sam is also a tough motherfucker, physically and mentally, and he's battling this. They told him he had 2 months to live about a year ago, and Sam is still alive and well and kicking, and I think Sam's the kind of guy, if anybody can beat it, it's him. And I hope he does. I'm big enough to put all this aside to where, again, if I was truly suicidal, Sam could have forced me to kill myself. That's how bad this script was. And again, I wasn't, and I'm a big boy. But now that Sam is sick, I feel bad that, I talked to him the way I did afterwards and fucked with him on Twitter. And I'm rooting for Sam, and I hope he's fine. He's doing great work with animals, which he loves. He's a charitable guy. He's giving all his money to charity, and it's a lot of money. I think he's giving it to charity. So if you hear this, try not to fuck with Sam in a way like, people get on you on Twitter, because I know Sam's big on Twitter. I'm not being the judge and jury here. I'm just sharing with you something I promised my fans I'd share with you. I just have to talk to him, and it doesn't have to be on the air. I just have to talk to him in person at least, to find out why he did this, what his motive is. And if he sits there and denies it again and giggles, I'll be like, okay, Sam, you have your motives. I'm praying for you to get better. And I really am. I want the guy to get better. And that's all I can do. If Sam somehow says, you're right, Art, this is a situation where I was in the wrong, I apologize. I'll try to work with him on it. I'll try to work with him on it and be a good friend. And once again, I just want to know why he did it, how this happened, and why he would do something like this to me. At my time of crazy. A lot of you might be saying, look, Art, you're just being a pussy, blah, blah, blah. But if you read this script and knew my situation, you too would at least wonder what the fuck his problem is and why he did it. Joe, like, what's your reaction to
that? People in LA are just, I don't know. Sometimes they're just, they're fucked up. I don't know because I know that feeling of a friend being jealous. Like, not even...
Again, there's nothing Sam's... The only thing Sam Simon can be jealous of me about is the fact that Howard Stern put me on the air every day. That's how big of a fan he is of Howard. And Sam might be a writer that wants to be on camera, but in every other way, Sam kills it in life. Right. And is a way more successful guy, creative, way more funny, way smarter. Just a winner. Sam's a good-looking guy. He's always good with... There's nothing I can make Sam jealous of, which is what's weird about it.
Some people don't get it. Like, I remember having an argument, not even close to this situation, where someone makes fun of me. I remember this vividly. My friend was dating her, and we went out to eat somewhere, and this girl just looked at me because I was and she was helping me with a one-man show, so she knew everything about me, kind of like how Sam knew everything about you, and because I was just opening up to her every day, and we were trying to write this show, and we're sitting at this restaurant, and she goes, man, it must suck being Joe Matarese. And I just looked.
A chick said this?
Yeah, she goes, it sucks being Joe Matarese, because she just knew me in an intimate way now.
Right.
And I looked at her right in front of my friend who was dating her. And I go, why don't you have another bite of that fucking cheeseburger and enjoy that shake? And I knew it was going to get her. And she was fucking livid. And my friend who was dating her got in trouble from her because he was like, what? And she was like, how did you not defend me? Like, he just sat there. And I used to say, I can make fun of me, you can't.
Well, listen, I don't mind if people make fun of me, because that's what I do.
Not at that time.
That's what I do for. But at this time, it was like, and it's almost. That's why I'm telling the story in a very diplomatic way. Sam is a friend, and Sam's in a bad way right now, and I feel terrible, and I want him to get better, and I'm happy that he's fighting this, and ultimately I think maybe we'll work it out, and I don't know how much time I have with him. I pray it's a long time to sit and talk, but you guys that listen to the show are Stern fans, and maybe you have a thought on this. I got to take a break. I'm actually about to go on TMZ Live to do jokes now about Justin Bieber. But, we'll talk about this more because I want Chris's take on it. But I have to take a break now. But that's the story. That's one of the people I was talking about. And I don't feel as harshly. I would not want to kill Sam. I don't feel as harshly as I did in the book. But it was brutal. It was brutal. And I'm just being honest with you. And it also took a lot of work on Sam's part, a lot of effort. And that's it. We'll take a break. Dave Attell and Russ Meneve are coming on for the next segment. That's going to be a lot of fun. And maybe we can get into this a little bit during that. I doubt it. But I'm going to let you guys ruminate, think about it overnight, the fans on Twitter. If you want to react on Twitter, let me know. And based on your reactions, we'll talk maybe a little bit more about this tomorrow. Sam Simon is welcome on the show or in person to talk this over to me anytime. And if he wants me not to share what happens in that meeting publicly, I will not. Out of respect for him. I just want closure. I want to know what happened there. I really do. Because, again, ultimately, Sam is an unbelievably talented, great man, I thought. And this is the only thing he's ever done that was negative, but it's a pretty major thing. So this is me being dead honest with you guys on the podcast.
Dead honest with Artie.
Yeah, right. Okay, we're going to take a break. I'm going on TMZ Live to discuss Justin Bieber right now. We'll be back with Meneve and Attell and Chris and Joe and Dan Filato behind the dish later.
The cane and the glasses.
This isn't DY, is it? I came here to vote.
Hey, what's up? What's up? How do I sound? I sound good?
The last pleasure of old people, voting.
Get some more water for my tea bag, please.
Sorry.
Opening it up is Henny Youngman, who's hacking cough. Very appropriate. Welcome back to the Artie Quitter podcast. That's Dave Attell, who's coughing like a 50-year-old.
Hello, or should I say, since we're near the water, ahoy. Ahoy,
Dave,
Artie.
Dave already with a quick water joke out the back. No, Dave just turned 50 the other day. Happy birthday, Dave.
What? I couldn't hear you. What? Speak up. Speak up, son.
And he came in with sunglasses and a cane.
And I will say this cane was when my mom was sick, and she got better, so now I use it to board flights early. But Russ and I were at a gas station looking for your in Hoboken.
Right.
And we bought you a cigar, so congratulations on the new podcast.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And, Russ Meneve.
Yes.
That's what Russ he's talking about for his second time on the PC.
Yes.
Semi-regular.
Thank you so much. It's beautiful. Romeo and Juliet, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't believe that's a Cuban. I don't.
Well, now you're alled to get them. You can get them.
I think that's a Queensin. If you ask me from Queens.
All the romance out of Cuban cigars is gone. You can get them at a Sunoco station.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. But Russ Meneve and Dave Attell joining us here with, of course, Matarese and Chris Cotton. So, Dave, what does it feel like? You're 50, and I mean, it is honestly when ARP does start sending you material.
Oh no, yeah, ARP is all over me.
Does it depress you at all on any level, or you don't care really about it?
Oh no, it is depressing because I think Russ. I'm sorry.
God,
Russ and I.
A lot of people mistake me for Russ Meneve.
A small stroke. I apologize. It's depressing. You were nice enough to come to my birthday,
of course,
and Russ was there. And I'm sorry, fellas, if you
what day was your birthday? Mine was the 16th.
You're a Capricorn too.
Yeah, that's why I'm weird.
I was Sunday.
Yeah, you were Sunday. Yeah.
And happy birthday.
Well, Chris, the reason you weren't there is Dave has one simple rule for his birthday parties, and of course, it's no blacks.
Sorry, that's the cane talking. But no, you all were invited because I think I've had like more birthdays at the Comedy Cellar than anywhere else. That's kind of like the Chuck E. Cheese for comics.
You're even
like
more...
no family, no friends, no wife.
Well, your sister was there. I met your sister, which was great.
My sister was there. Yeah. Earlier, we went to Steakhouse, and my mom was there. So it started about like at 6:00.
Yeah,
and then I put my mom into a Uber cab, and I haven't seen her since. No, it was fun. And then the best part was like us all hanging out. But as we were talking about it at night, it's like it used to be booze and drugs, and now it's cupcakes and ice cream.
It's so different, man. I mean, the whole vibe. Forget about just like a birthday. The whole vibe there really is because it's almost not cool to party anymore for younger comics. Like they all exercise, they get up. There's no blow, there's no whiskey. Like even the bouncers, security guys, no one has pills anymore.
I think Russ and I are the opposite. We actually drink more now as older men.
Yes, Russ was the
men.
designated drinker.
Well, you drink the brown liquor. You're a writer's drinker, like Maker's Mark and stuff.
Yeah,
like
whiskey. We were drinking whiskey all night.
Well, I was drank whiskey. Dave, you were always a big whiskey guy.
But whiskey looks better on these guys than it did ever on us. I mean, you guys look very fit. You guys look like the personal trainers that kind of like come by and do a little CrossFit with everybody.
But I find out with the younger generation, it's like their vice is fucking. They do love. I mean, I got to hand it to them. There's no coke. There's no heroin. There's no drinking problems. They like to fuck.
Let's ask Chris.
I don't know where you're getting all this information.
Married.
I'm married, so I have a drinking problem, and but me and I don't do drugs, but I have friends who dabble. You know what I mean?
But here's what I feel. You said you stopped weed. I feel that that a lot of the younger women that are in comedy they seem very promiscuous, like very into just anything goes.
Really?
Yeah. I think so.
That's all young
I agree
women.
with that.
No, I would say that the younger kids are more into tweeting and webisodes and all that kind of stuff than they are into it. But I think pot now is not even considered a drug because, like, I'd say the majority of of the indulgence is weed.
You're
And
right.
As we all know, that was always like a plan B for anybody who really partied. And can I just say one thing more about the night where I said to Artie, I go, what you got, like, let's go to a strip club. Like, I didn't even want to go, but we were trying to decide, right, Russ? We were what to do. Because, like, 50, you're supposed to do something like, I'm taking everybody to fantasy baseball camp. You're all going to learn how to pitch.
Paintball.
Yeah. We're going to skydive into whatever, Storage Wars episode.
The place was perfect that you picked. If you had hung out, you would have loved it.
I know,
It was
you
a
were
smoking
telling me,
place where you got
yeah.
smoke inside, so it was almost like going to like a reenactment of like New York in the 90s. So smoking inside, using inappropriate language. It was fun, and I didn't know what to do, but I at the end of the night I was tired, and I was like, I am old.
It was fun.
it was
it was
late,
fun.
very late.
Yeah, you were. I mean, you were even overly generous. So your own birthday probably cost you $800. You bought the cupcakes.
Yes. There's something about a guy who looks like me buying 50 cupcakes. I was like, it's got to be 50 because I'm going to be 50. Cut to the girl behind the counter eye rolling. Who is this creep?
But you bought expensive. I don't know where it was.
you have to.
Magnolia crumbs. Like,
Yes.
you can't get shitty cupcakes anymore.
I was looking for a glute-free cupcake, as we talked about.
Kale.
I like a cap and trade cupcake.
It's fun. That's another thing about dating a young chick who has like a NutriBullet and she fucking stuffs kale and onion juice and the lemon, the juice of 4 kiwis and all that. And they put, and then when they shit, it sounds like Sonny Corleone getting shot in The Godfather.
I've only met one person who ever ate kale. So does anybody know?
Yeah, no, I
is
have
this
my
like fantasy?
sister.
Really?
My mother. She got my mother into it. Like my sister's very healthy, ultra
sister's the
healthy.
best.
I eat kale. I like it better
You
than
do?
in a salad though. I like it better than lettuce. I don't know. I like kale as the
Of course.
You take bubble baths too?
I don't.
You like kale better than lettuce.
My wife hates it, but I like it better.
All right.
I don't think it
I
tastes
don't-
that good. It's just supposed to be like the most nutritious vegetable.
Right,
now, but
right.
Does it
Well,
taste great?
you've always,
Less
you've
bitter
always
than
eaten
lettuce.
well.
Yeah, well, I have to
Russ.
watch.
Yeah,
They'll blow up quickly.
Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely true.
Come on.
I was 230 for a long time.
Is that true?
Yeah,
really?
and I'm
230.
185 now.
I was going to say, I couldn't imagine you 230.
45 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
Russ is like the most worked out guy I know. He's a great guy, but you don't eat every day, right?
Every other. That's the
You
only way
went
I
through this already on this podcast.
I don't
or
think
no?
I have.
You never brought up his eating situation the last time we had him
No,
on.
I know. It's a very interesting. Well, first of all, Russ, he's got to be a funny, great guy because to live his lifestyle for me not to hate him.
Yeah.
He's got to be a great, great guy. I mean, the guy, you know what I mean? But so you explain how you eat. You sort of binge and take a day off type of thing.
Yeah, every other day, and that's the only way I could really lose it. I
You eat
really
every other day.
pretty much. I mean, I cheat here and there. It's cold now; it's a little harder. That's the worst thing about it.
You like
You're freezing all the
comfort
time.
food. You like some mozzarella melted on a
You have
piece of kale.
You have the diet of a community college girl. That's what it is. A sophomore at a small local Beaver University or something.
College.
So are you eating today or not eating today?
Today, I'm going to eat today, and then try to fast tomorrow. Maybe 2 days in a row too. But that's the only way I could lose it. I was
You'll fast 2 days in a row.
sometimes 2 days in a row. I was never able to lose it though. I really couldn't. I really could not crack it.
Were you an athlete in high school? Did you play ball?
Tennis.
That'll fucking, you'll lose weight playing tennis. I mean, baseball. I remember you could gain weight playing baseball. I used to go to office detention, Saturday detention, in corduroy pants. I'd take BP, batting practice, for like 3 hours. It was just so much fun.
Corduroy.
Yeah, but tennis, man, that gets you in shape.
Yeah. But as far as the dieting thing, if you can't control your food intake, you'll just never lose it. You can work out till you're blue in the face. It's just not.
It's more about what you eat.
Yes.
The best was a week ago. Russ calls me on the phone. He goes, "Dude, let's call Artie and see if he wants to go play hoops."
No, listen, that's not.
I don't know if that's going to be able to happen.
He did call. I mean, I love basketball.
Yeah.
I appreciated that.
Can you play?
Cool. Yeah,
He's good at hoops.
That was good. Listen, I weighed 165 pounds in high school. I played all 3 sports. I was all county third baseman. I played hoops and football. Wow. This is all shit living. This was White Castle at 5 of them. I mean, we did go through. I mean, I went through I know Dave can relate to this, an insanely unhealthy, 25 years.
Yes, it's a great time.
I mean, it was. When you're younger, you feel like you're resilient. You could come back from anything, but then towards the end, those nights of eating at 6 a.m. because you just drank all night, and
I was, if I can, at your expense, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
As we were taking the elevator up to this non-disclosed location, I said to Russ, I go, if this elevator could talk, it would say delivery again. Third pie of the day.
not just pie.
Tell him how Artie almost got blacklisted from Uptown Pizzeria across the street because he would pass out, and by the time they would get the pizza up, he wouldn't answer the door, and they were going to blacklist, and he had to beg the guy to take him off the list.
Wow. I would do well, also mentioning it on Stern and getting fucking the business. I quadrupled.
Oh
it.
yeah, really?
People from Arizona would come in literally and go, "Is this where Artie Lang gets pizza?" Like, don't give me your shit about you pussy fucking delivery guys have to wait a couple hours.
I'm sure you paid the guy anyway the next day. Yeah,
I put those kids through college.
Really?
But I would do a couple of dime bags of fucking H, and I'd be like, I want a double Sicilian, and I would pass out. And the guy sat me down and goes, "Oh, we got to talk about your lifestyle." The delivery guys are upset. I'm like, is it really an issue?
My drink is starting to creep up on me though a little bit. I think I'm starting to drink.
Wait, because you drink on an empty stomach, dude.
Yeah, that's bad too. But it's more and more. I noticed that my tolerance is so way up now.
You're a fun drunk, though. I like you drunk.
Thanks, man.
Like at the box, the last time we went to the Barclays Center, where Russ has the greatest hookup in the history of sporting events, we sat in the first time we went to 2 games. We sat on the Jay-Z seats on the floor the first time, but the second time we got a luxury suite, and that's when Joe had that $80 gig in Jersey. And you got drunk, but you're like a happy, fun drunk. You were.
And people can't tell when I'm drunk, and I feel like
you can tell. Are you kidding me? Let's get out of denial.
I can't ask me the 3rd time in a row. Where are we? Where are we now? Where are we going?
That's funny.
Dude, I mean,
you are. He holds his own.
You're not an asshole, but you are. You are.
Okay, all right.
Dan was trying to text somebody, and you kept busting Dan's balls. What are you doing over there, Filata? You look creepy.
But yeah, I get louder and happier for sure.
But see, to me, it always amplified whatever. Dave, I don't know if you're like this, but to me, it amplified what mood I was in. If I was depressed, the booze or the drugs would get me more depressed. If I was times a million, actually. If I was excited and happy, I'd get way more excited. That's why the double-edged sword of when you first try comedy and, the fear of bombing. And if you actually bomb, the depression of going, maybe I'm not good enough for this and I can't do this dream in my life. I would get so depressed bombing early on, thinking I have to go back to loading trucks, to where I would get so drunk.
Oh.
And, it was the depression. Dave, let me ask you, were you great the first time you went on stage?
Me?
Yeah. What was it like? Were you one of those guys who was
I bombed consistently for the first three or four years.
But bombed in what way? Because you were shit, or the audience was not with it, or what?
Almost like the I like to call it the raindrop applause.
Right.
Where it's just like that.
Rudy.
Yeah.
Did someone leave a shower on, or is there a crowd in here? What is that? Like that kind of thing at open mics all over New York. I knew these guys.
Yeah.
They started later than me, but it was a lot of that. I started with Kevin Brennan and.
Well, I met you in '93.
Okay, so I'd already been doing it probably 5-6 years.
And you were so good to where I almost quit. It's like that story of Hendrix, like Eric
Called me
Clapton.
a good night.
Eric Clapton seeing Jimi Hendrix for the first time. And I'm curious, like Chris, like you're 26 years old.
I'm 28.
Is your generation aware of the legend of Dave Attell? Like how dominant? I mean, he was our Jimi Hendrix. I mean, would you guys agree with that?
I want to add to this. He's going to be honest about it.
Of course, that's why I'm saying it. Yeah.
Thank God the dark glasses are on. I'm
shaking my cane in defiant. That's very nice of you guys.
It's like Jackie Gleason in The Hustler.
All right, hold on. I came to town in '93.
Right.
It was just starting open mics, hanging out the cellar a little bit, seeing it, and he was the man then. Like people,
by '93,
he was setting shockwaves
right.
in the city.
Absolutely.
So how many years in were you at that point? In '93.
I started in '87, I guess, or '88. So whatever that
quickly.
is.
So
I don't know.
The first time I had ever done it was '87. I was 19, and it took me a while. By '93, I was getting some spots here and there. So even after 6 years, it was a couple years before I got Mad TV. I just got in a commercial and gotten in SAG, and then I saw him, and I'm like, wow,
yes.
I'm behind.
And there's a great saying: greatness announces itself quickly and loudly.
Oh yeah,
and he was fucking like people knew him. right
But
away.
are you guys aware of that? Is your
It's been a
generation
long
aware?
time.
We're not aware of the whole story. We're aware
Greer
of
Barnes
the,
is like as far as
I would say, yeah,
black
like-
kids are concerned.
Well,
Greer always
it's one of the
destroyed.
things where you got to educate yourself because we only knew of the people who we knew. Like I was from Philly, so we knew who came through Philly at that time. But once I got here, I educated myself more. I know about everything.
I don't
And that's
know-
why I'm not saying anything now. I'm just listening to y'all talk because y'all got a story back when I was born, talking about all that.
I don't know if you guys.
Well, he was born in '87.
I was born in '87.
Is that true?
I don't know if Chris's generation has a guy, because Dave was the guy that the comics would go, dude,
yeah,
Dave's
but-
on, and we would walk down and
It's
you
true,
go in.
Dave. It is.
How many guys do you do that with anymore?
Not a lot of people.
Not that many guys come around like that.
Right.
No,
Ever.
it's very rare.
Kind of like Charlie Parker in jazz or something.
And it's like
when
you
you're
sorry.
I thought they were
Joe.
talking about like your dad.
It really creeps me out, but you're very cool, and coming from you guys, that's a huge compliment.
I know
was
it
gonna
creeps
say-
you out, but not enough people say it. You know.
Come on. I mean, like the good thing about like when you and I would hang out, because is that like I like to think there's certain guys that are fun on stage and off stage, and that's all present company included. But there's a lot of guys I think today that are like, you know, they're fun on stage, and then off stage you're like, am I talking to like, who is this guy in IT?
They're brooding.
Is this guy here to fix the cable? I mean, like really, they really are morose type. You know, like I don't know what it is, but I will say that like, you know, the fun of the on stage and then the off stage and the I guess the thing that really separated me from the other guys is that like once I learned how to bomb, I really made it kind of like my own.
Well, you
which is
gotta
like,
win, though. You gotta
the crowds were not that good when I got on very late, and
Right.
that you know for years and years and years I was the last guy on the show,
and it makes you better.
It makes you better, but it also it makes you numb and it makes you hard and it makes the whiskey taste so much better. Here's our song.
No, but we talked
rough
about this.
place.
I mentioned this. You weren't here the other day. Yesterday, I talked about the fact that we taped a sketch for Saturday Night Live
Yes.
the other day that didn't air. And not to bash anybody, but like the people we met on that set are kind of what you're talking about. Like they don't. Every funny person I've ever met, truly funny person. From Norm Macdonald to Howard Stern to whoever, they all give it up off stage. They're not too arrogant to laugh. Some of these guys think if you laugh off stage, like you look like you're not this brilliant comic, or you look like a hacker. Like when something's funny people laugh at it because they like being around funny people. They like laughing, and like the writers that we met or directors that we met that night. The SNL guys,
They were stressed out.
They were stressed
They had a
out,
lot of work to
definitely,
do.
but
It's
not a
it's a hard
fun,
gig.
not a fun group. Like,
Well,
you know.
the whole thing of it is, and by the way, I think who knows if that sketch is not out there or not. You know, you don't.
Yeah, I
know.
know,
No, I was just going to say that. You know,
Wait. What'd you say? Well, you could just say SNL just released the skit.
Yeah.
Where?
I just texted it to you. It's online.
It's online.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to see that.
We got to watch
you
it.
gotta look at
Yeah,
it.
we gotta watch.
Well, to put it on your computer, Dave. I mean, Dan. Yeah. Okay.
But, yeah, no, those guys were not really. They're writers and whatever. But it seems like you know, the hang is when you get older, and I'm old. The thing is, the hang is what you really love, and like getting to go on stage and really like push it. But you know, it's hanging with the comics, and like when you're on the road for years and years alone, I'm
Right.
recovering while there's a million.
No,
things
wait. One
going on.
second. I'm sorry, Dan. What are we doing here?
I'm grabbing my computer.
Okay, the
so
sketch.
what are you watching?
How can we best describe the sketch we were in? You do it better than I do.
I said yes because I heard you were in it.
Well, Kevin Hart was hosting the show.
Yeah, it was Kevin Hart's show.
And there's a character on SNL. Russ, have you ever seen this character, the bad comic?
No.
He
Oh,
plays,
wait.
Kyle Mooney's the guy's name.
Yeah, and he like does that little laugh. And,
Right. He
okay,
plays
I've
a
seen it,
bad
I've seen it.
comedian.
He plays a cheesy '90s comic, and I said, "Hey, I'm a cheesy '90s comic," and no one laughed.
Yeah.
Well, the sketch was he's at the Gotham Comedy Club. That's where we shot it, and it was a pre-taped sketch supposed to air, I guess, sometime on SNL, or I thought during the live show. And they needed people to play themselves, where this kid is at Gotham and he's pitching shit ideas to me and Dave as ourselves and Kevin Hart. And we goof on him. That's the sketch, basically. And we're improvising what we're goofing on him. And I thought it was going to air during the show. It didn't, but I guess Danny said they released it online. I'm curious to see.
Cool, yeah.
I mean, but that's basically the premise, right?
Yeah, we were supposed to be the old salts, the older comics,
Right.
hanging out. And, they have some really fun guys on that show now, like Pete Davidson and Michael Shea.
Yeah.
A bunch of really cool people over there who are comics also. So, I think the whole idea was to get all the comics together. And Kevin Hart, he's like,
right.
he's a mega.
King of the Hill.
Yeah, he's the mega comic right now. So, it was cool. And I got to see Kevin at the... whatever, he's jumping around and that's got to be the most stressful thing.
Right.
They got like a million sketches to do, and also I think he had a movie opening.
Those are hard weeks.
That week.
That movie, by the way, American Sniper blew everything away, but quietly, Kevin's movie made $21 million.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So
Is that good?
that's a big.
But which
deal.
one got more laughs, Sniper or Ringer?
Do they do stuff specifically for online SNL now? Do they? No, they don't. I don't know why.
I got a question. Would you guys have rather the sketch had either pre-written jokes for you guys to say back to him, or jokes that you could have sat around for like an hour with Dave and try to write some?
I'd
stuff?
rather them write it. Yeah, it's like they made we
You're a
improv
better
the whole.
actor, though.
Well, we improv the whole thing.
I don't think improv's a good idea for a sketch.
It should be both.
I bet you we're in it for a second. I'll bet you $20 right now.
Yeah, that might be it too.
It should be both. It should be
No, you're right.
jokes
It should
and
be
improv.
both.
All right, we can watch it. You want to
look at
mic
this.
this up?
Oh, it's
seen
part
this
of
guy.
it's part of SNL 40.
That's my old outfit, by the way.
And that's why
He's wearing
I always gotta have my cup of Joe.
That's my joke.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. A lot of fun tonight.
Nothing.
All right, y'all. Y'all give it up for Bruce Chandler. All right, we're going to keep the show rolling. Y'all give it up for the next comic, Pete Davidson.
What if we get cut out of this?
Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Hey, get home safely, huh?
Come on, just do it.
That was funny.
Classic, right?
I think there's a lot of ways.
Oh, there he is, Kevin. The heart.
Nailed it.
How's it hanging, man? Hey, you catch my set?
I'm sorry, who are you?
Bruce Chandler, stand up. We used to do some of the old clubs together. Comedy Cave, Laugh Castle. Hey, you tell me you don't remember this mug? What's the matter? I get too ugly for you?
No, I just don't know who you are, man.
Hey, I just gotta say,
It's like a drama.
women these days take so long to get ready, right? I was just thinking about how I called up this girl recently. I'm like, hey, I'll pick you up at 7. I get there, guess what? She ain't there.
We don't want to hear your routine, man.
Of course not. No, there's just a true thing that happened here recently, right? So by the time she's finally ready to go, restaurant's closed, bar ain't serving booze no more, my hair is turning prematurely gray, and I'm showing early signs of Alzheimer's. By the way,
didn't make it.
What was I just talking about?
Russ, please.
Because girls take so long. Hey, is that a funny bit?
All right, man. It was nice meeting you.
Why you guys moving so fast, huh? Gotta go to a slam dunk contest?
He's not even doing obvious 90s stand-up.
Seriously though, Kevin, I got a great idea for a TV show. I think you're really gonna like this.
Yo, Ken, let's just bounce, man. For real.
Hey, real quick. Yeah, real quick.
No, first of all, I said let's
hey.
bounce.
What if we did a stand-up?
Can you pause it for a second?
Yeah, pause it, yeah.
Me and Artie right now are chain smoking cigarettes. Going, did you sign anything? We have to be in this.
But people can't really tell from hearing it. But Dave and I shot a few scenes. I guess they had about 10 seconds of me and Dave talking. It was cool to see.
Can we just get to them?
But that's it. I think that's all.
Well, I got a full wax, both front and back, for this thing. I feel what a waste.
This is an example of I'm not even sure what he's going for. Like I don't know what.
Yeah, it's
is he making fun
this
of
is
comedians?
serious night live.
But it is sort of like you're right. He's got a sad. Because the character is like he gets depressed. That's the other part.
It seems like you're watching Lenny, the movie Lenny. Like you're waiting for him to go on a fucking drug binge or something.
But there might be, I think that's probably all you're going to see of us. I mean, unless we shot something else upstairs when he's on stage.
No, but that's great for you guys. It's nothing better than when you think you're in a shitty sketch and you're only on for a second, so now you're safe.
Well, I have no problem with it. I have a problem with my own acting. Now that I look at this,
you were fine.
No, you're you really are a good natural actor, man. You
but
really
this kid, I just don't know what exactly. Like again, I'm not bashing this, but I don't know what's happening. Yeah. Like what he's going for.
There's definitely no more of you in this.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
We'll see.
It's very odd.
Russ, thanks for the support.
I just want to see you guys.
What is that smell?
Ronnie. And then maybe you and your soul brothers too. Now give me some skin, because I'm down with the Groove Cats.
Well, that's not 90s.
Hey,
Maybe
look, honestly,
1890s.
man, I'm sorry, but we're not interested in working with you. All right?
Oh,
Kid.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Actually, I'm pretty used to not having anybody in my corner, so that works fine. And it's like the people that I would want to love me.
It's good as a drama.
Think I'm nothing. They think I'm
It's an
all
after-school
trash.
special.
I think that's why I'll never get to have kids.
Listen, why don't you just why don't you explain the TV idea again?
Wait, did you see
Perfect.
See that watch?
Because I think that we
he
could
was
do a
rocking?
thing where you do a set and then I do a set.
Delete a scene from
And everybody would just go absolutely crazy.
Okay. I understand it. So it's like a stand-up show, but it's on TV. That's a good idea, man.
funny, dude.
Hey, that's a good idea.
Hey, thanks, Heartbreaker.
Hey, we're about to go slam dunk. You want to come?
Hey, as long as I get my cup of Joe first.
This fall, your TV just got a whole lot crazier. It's Stand Up on TV with Bruce Chandler, Kevin Hart, Ronnie Donianier, the Soul Brothers, live from the Slam Dunk Contest. Now give that remote some skin.
My mom just loves to talk.
Right here on television.
It makes no
Again,
sense.
then it turned into like kind of a white nerdy guy doing black stuff.
That's terrible.
I don't know.
It makes me think I could be on SNL though. I used to not think I could be on that show.
Well, stop
I could
thinking
nail it. No, stop thinking.
No, I think what he's doing is I mean, he's good at what he's doing, but it's not like, I don't know, it's not original. I don't think that's not really an original character either.
Where do we draw
Like
the line?
A bad comic.
Fred Armisen had a funny one where he's the intellectual comic with the papers and he'd never get to the point.
See, that I never saw.
That was a funny one.
Well, did you ever, what was the one when years ago they did with Seinfeld where he was like a 90s they did like 90s comedians
him,
on
though.
Jeopardy. They were all on Jeopardy wearing the blazers.
Yeah, but
with
that's
the shirt,
goofy. That was
things pulled
goofing
up.
on him saying like,
What's
like,
the deal?
who
Yeah.
are these people?
Yeah, who are these people?
Yeah.
Well, as a ventriloquist, I found it half insulting.
Chris, what do you think of it?
I didn't get a ha-ha out of it. I kind of took a little baby nap, but it's cool. It's all right. It is what it is.
Well, you just ruined.
Who's writing over there
Trying
now?
to be
Saul
diplomatic.
Bellow? Anybody? These old references came with the cane.
You should have done that in the sketch.
Do you remember?
I'm a really bad act. Like the minute they go, you got to say this at this point. Like we were supposed to like kind of like not like look at the guy. Like I immediately felt like I was overacting. Like there's a wrong way not to look at the guy. But I felt like you're like supernatural like right away.
But I mean, I used to do sketches. That's how I made a living. But it was before really that I before I did anything. But I mean, it's just it's odd to me when like you asked before about the scripted thing. I'd rather them just tell me. Okay, I want to see the lines. I want to because I know what they're going for.
Yeah,
Right.
Because when people write a sketch, they have a specific vision, and if they let you improv enough, they have to keep correcting you because. And it's not anyone's fault except for the fact that you don't know what they're trying to do.
Right.
And that's what happened with me and Dave. Even physically, they were like, well, no, you got to be this way, and don't say this because that's what his character does. And we're like, well.
But they were cool. I get it that they're like really under the gun. They have to edit. Like they were telling us they have to shoot and then edit and all that kind of. And at the end of the day, like you just wanted to be funny. So if they whatever they do, they do. But for me personally, it's like. It was cool to finally be in something with you.
It was, that part of it was fun.
I never.
Sinbad was supposed to do it.
Well, he was my birthday wish.
He was.
You were my second choice.
In the first script they sent us, Sinbad's in it. And we got, Sinbad was headlining Gotham that weekend. So I guess they felt maybe we should put him in it. Right. But I guess, Sinbad was like, didn't even think about doing it. He said, no.
Oh, wow.
He said, no way.
Well, Kevin Hart, he wouldn't do it? Or is there resentment?
Kevin is great.
I don't know.
Kevin is cool.
But that is a lot of work for the week besides the live sketches. Because for a stand-up, it's all about the monologue too. It's almost like hosting an award show. Yeah. If you're a stand-up comic, you get judged on that monologue so much.
Right.
Are we allowed to?
So you got smoke.
His monologue was good, by the way.
It was good.
It was very good.
I thought Rock's was great when Chris Rock did it. I thought it was a stand-up. Sometimes stand-ups do SNL and they mail in the monologue. And I don't understand why. That's your strong thing. Like, destroy with that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Well, here's the point of it all, guys. Who watches TV anymore anyhow?
Exactly.
You know, it's all about clips. Like Chris, your generation of guys, it's all about like memes and vines and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, it's sad. But when you were sitting there, it is. We were sitting there doing memes. We do memes in our group text. Memes and we send videos to each other.
What does that mean?
That's the thing when you got the picture, you got the words on top and the words on bottom, and it's like
everything.
Why is it called meme?
I have no idea. I don't know why they named it that. It's meme.
Everything sounds like the other thing. Like Instagram sounds like Twitter. Memes now sounds like Twitter and Instagram. Right.
It's all dumb shit. It's bad. I'm 28, but I don't really understand why we're doing any of this stuff, and I barely do any of it. Like we were just talking to Joe. He was like, I'm on Twitter a lot. I said, all I do is retweet. I don't tweet anything. I don't have an original thought on Twitter. You got to go back like months to see an original thought.
But the problem is, where do I do it? Do I tweet this? Do I do it with my stand-up?
You can do both.
I just don't, like in my mind, it's like it's none of your business. That's what I'm thinking right now.
Come on, you heard
Joe's the
Chandling.
authority.
Can't you be hilarious 24 hours a day, whether it's in person or on the web or what? I find that there's so much work. It used to be like getting to the gig was like the big thing, and then it was the radio. Now it's like those are like the least of the problems. Now it's like there's so much promotion, like I'm about to do right now for the Punchline in Atlanta.
I was going to say, now you have a gig coming up. You have the Punchline in Atlanta.
Punchline in Atlanta, which is one of the greatest clubs. I don't know, Artie, you played there.
I've been there. I love it.
I don't know if you guys have been there, but they have the best headshots from I'd say the last, it's almost like a museum. Right. It's like the Grand Ole Opry of comedy. It's like a Southern club, but not really. And everybody who works there super cool. They have great old headshots of Bill Hicks and Carlin, and I'm talking Gary Shandling, just all these people who went on to, become legendary status, and you see them their original headshots. And just basically everybody I know who came up through there, they're always the Punchline. That was the club.
How old is the Atlanta Punchline?
It's got to be, so I said I've been doing this about 28 years, so it's got to be 400 years old. I assume at some
Henry Hudson discovered.
I think I emceed it in 91.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Lincoln middled there on his way. Sherman.
Lincoln middled for Ron White.
That was the club in the country, though, was known as the best room. The crowds were unbelievable.
It's
Sandy Springs, right? Is that where it is?
Yeah, I went there. I remember a lot of pussy was there.
That was the old Southern Fried Rock.
Yeah.
Cool.
Atlanta pussy.
Where you feel... Oh, wait, I have to get my glasses on. I want to always be known as the blind blues man.
Is that the over 50 look?
Yeah, this is it.
Can I cut back? I have a question back to the sketch. I don't know if the fans would think this is entertaining, but I'm wondering if you guys, do you remember any of your jokes that you had in the 90s? Say your worst 90s.
Remember them?
Because I think that's what was missing in that sketch.
Well, I don't know. I get it. Yeah, sure. I remember shit.
Do you remember a bad joke you did in the 90s? That's what the sketch, to me, if that guy was just doing some really bad 90s stand-up.
He was doing all the mannerisms. That's what it was supposed to be.
The jokes
there were no jokes,
you can still
though.
do 90s, but those jokes were just bad deliberately. He was just deliberately bombing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's the whole premise of that
the
character.
sketch was deliberately supposed to bomb.
Yeah.
Right? What?
Yeah.
Joe, can I explain it to you?
I get the sketch.
I know you're saying this.
I'm saying to
You
me,
don't get the
it'd be
sketch.
funnier if he was doing jokes from the 90s and they were bombing. They would have worked
and
then.
old sayings. He was.
But a nerdy white guy trying to relate to the black guys, that's as old as the fucking.
I mean, black guys and white guys, we talk all the time, right?
I think
where?
I don't know.
I shouldn't have brought that back up.
But I'm just saying, I think that bit of a white guy trying to relate to black guys by saying skin and soul. But I mean, it's Jesus. How do they find that, by the way, Dan? SNL.com? What is that?
I'll have you tweet it out.
We'll say it now. Can we say it now?
What?
How do we find it?
the greatest.
Attell doesn't like his acting in it. All he did is turn his head.
See, my thing with acting is I could really give a shit. I really. It's not. it was never a dream of mine to be an actor. I could care less. And like every time I do something, I'm always like, oh, that sucked. I hope I didn't ruin the project, you know. But you know, it's cool. Like I said, it was cool to be with Artie, and you know, I give those kids a lot of credit because like it is a tough schedule, and I know like Pete and Mike and all those guys, like this is their moment, you know. And I really think they're super funny, and that it's going to lead to big things.
Pete Davidson, especially, he's 20 years old, man. What a gig for him, man. That's
Absolutely.
a big deal.
It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. So they just punch in SNL.
Kyle Mooney skit with Artie Lang.
Kyle Mooney skit with Artie.
Starring David Tell.
I'm the star of it.
Don't bring me into this.
Kyle Mooney. Go to YouTube. Kyle Mooney skit with Artie Lang, David Tell, and the guys, and you can see that sketch that we just played the audio of.
And you'll tweet it.
And I'll tweet it. Okay.
I want to say something. I'm sorry. I was going to say that y'all did say earlier that the younger guys don't hang out. I think
yeah, you guys hang.
Yeah, I see you guys. I know me.
Nah, you're clearly unhealthy.
Yeah, I am very unhealthy. We hang like a motherfucker. We don't do shit. We just sit out. I literally don't go in the house most times till 4:00.
But is that a comedian or a black thing?
It's for me it's an insomnia thing / black thing.
Yeah,
once comic thing.
Once you get on Comedy Time and then of course Urban Time. I mean, I hope your wife likes
Urban Comedy Time
till 6 in the morning.
Urban Comedy Time is always. No, we were talking about comedian hours. If you're living,
oh, dude, I love comedian hours like a mother. I'm tired. This is early in the morning for me. This really is. This is like when I be getting together.
See, by the way, I will say this about like the early days of comedy is that the funnest times is the early times when you're just hanging out with the guys and you're like doing open mics and you're just working your way up to clubs because during the day, like I had a day job and then I would do clubs at night. And even then, like even though I would like go to that job and I'd be like, you know, hungover and like just smelled like shit, I still was like, you know, like, oh man, that was the best night ever. Yeah. Like I got to hang out and do stuff.
Well, you started in '87.
Yeah,
I'll go around the room with this too. And what year were you making a living at comedy? When'd you quit the day job?
2012. My money just went down after that sketch at the web. No, I think I started making money. I made a living. It took me a long time to quit my day job, like 5 years. Really? I worked at Discovery Channel. I was in the research department.
Well, by '92, you were writing for SNL. When did you start?
'94, okay. I wrote over there, but I only was there for a year. I was horrible at that because I really was like fanatical stand-up guy, and I really wish I had like gone like, you know what? There's going to be plenty of time to do both, but I really wanted to be like Bill Hicks or like a headliner, and like they did not get that over there, and you know,
they want you there. It's how were you approached? Did someone see you at a club and say, "God, this guy's a funny joke"? Were you writing sketches, jokes?
No, I auditioned.
Update? Like, what was your role?
I auditioned. I was supposed to be like a writer there,
right?
And like they said, like you know, now like they're really cool with giving like people's time, like on like Weekend Update and stuff like that, which is what they should always do for comics, is let them go up there and do like a monologue because they're the best at it.
Why not? Yeah.
And you know, back then there was very like a caste system basically. You know, you're this, and then you know the performers do that, and then you know you're supposed to sit here and like think of like you know pithy lines for the guest host to say. But I would have to say that you know like. A lot of people, that's their dream. That was never my dream. My dream was to really be like a stand-up comic. And
well, you achieved that.
I've lived that. Yeah, I beat that dream to the ground. I wrestled it to the ground and beat it to death.
Now, what about you, Russ? How long did it take you to make a living in stand-up?
5 years.
5 full years of doing it.
Working a part-time job and all that stuff. Yeah.
My first time was '87 on stage, and I didn't start making a living until '94. So it's 7 years where I could stop driving a cab. I was part-time with it. I could, you know, and then, what about you, Joe?
I started in '89 and, well, I'd say 3 years, 3.5 years, believe it or not. But I didn't have a lot of bills. It was like I didn't need to make a lot to make a living. I lived with my parents for the beginning.
I was so hoping you were going to say 3 days.
3 days.
I don't know. It clicked. I clicked.
Seinfeld says that. Seinfeld's one of those guys who said, I don't know, for the first time on stage, I was hilarious.
Yeah.
I got on stage and I was just funny.
Did you hear the last part of what he said? He was living with his parents, so that doesn't count as making a living.
And this is the thing.
Exactly.
Levy was on the podcast last week. He used to give me $1,060,000 to $75 one-nighters during the week. Okay, that doesn't happen anymore.
It's a
These
big
comics,
deal.
every night I got a $60 or $75 gig, and then I remember I moved to Astoria, Queens in like '95. across the street from Linda Rowe, who was my manager.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And
Linda Rowe?
Yeah, and I had like a $500 apartment with a parking spot. So I had to make $500 in a month.
And Levy's like, hey, listen, I got a one-nighter.
There was a million of them.
It's a diner in Deptford.
From Jersey up to Connecticut, there was a million of them, I'm telling you.
Wow. Well, he had them all.
That's where Russ said he saw me the first time. It was at Casual Times in New Jersey. It was
Casey O'Toole's.
Casey O'Toole's.
I've been there. That's where one of the places I grew up about 5 miles from.
Tony Camacho.
Exit 135. It's one of the places, first road places I would do.
How about a big Casual Times welcome? I don't hear it. I don't see it. Sounds like a
Casual Times is in Clark.
No. Clark, New Jersey. Clark.
Is that where it was?
Yep. On the border of Westfield.
Kevin James was doing that room.
Yeah, Casual Times was, and that was a fun, like, sort of. What about you? Now, you said you're 28, Chris, and you said you've been doing this for 5 years.
No. I've been doing it for 9.
But I mean, making a living.
Oh, I've been making a living. Oh, this is weird. I made a living after 4. Then I moved here, and I stopped making a living again. So literally, I'm hopefully about to start making a living again. So I got married, though, so my wife makes money.
That'll do it.
There you go.
Yeah,
the sad part about comedy that Russ and I always talk about, like the most I ever made in my career was 15 years ago. Like I make less now than I did 15 years ago. I had like a 3-year stint. Yeah, where I got the development deals and all that shit was going on.
You make less than 15 years ago?
Yes.
Oh my God.
My best year is 15 years ago.
I don't know, 15, but I'm not at my best as I was just a few years ago, even.
Well, that's a lot of people are like that with a few years,
like
but
this.
15 is like.
This is so sad. How come it's not in that sketch we just watched? Hey, but
That's hilarious.
Here's something that no one ever asks: is like, when do you think you deserve to get paid? And I'll say like 10 years. Honestly, I'm not kidding around. Like I was so bad. Like every road gig I did, I was like, oh, I don't know if I have the time. Duh. And I was being blown away left and right by all these like power middles. All these guys like banjo plus light show plus
guitar playing,
psychic.
banjo playing stuff. You can't follow a guitar act,
but
you can't follow a guitar act.
Dave is one of those insecure for no reason comedians, though. You definitely don't even know that about you. I remember sharing a condo with you in Boston.
Oh,
we were at Nick's for 2 weeks together. We were in a condo. I think we said hi once.
Right, that was the
you banged my cousin's friend, and I thought that was going to make us have a conversation the next day.
You were in the that was Nick's, or was it
Nick's?
What's the other club in Zanies? Right? No,
Boston?
Not in Boston.
Oh, in Boston. Oh, I thought we were talking about Chicago.
No.
No, because I was like, Boston used to be like a battleground for anybody from New York.
Oh,
like
God,
you go
yeah.
up there,
Yeah, when people were like,
and everybody would die.
Yeah.
Like if you were a New Yorker guy, you totally like. There were so many powerful, incredibly funny Boston local guys
come out of Boston,
and they would all go like, "Hey, do you mind if I do like a little something for you?" Oh, absolutely. And then they'd be up there, whatever, Dorchester, and I'm Wicked Hamid, and something else.
It's a big little town. Like Nick DiPaolo up there. Like Nick kills everywhere anyway, but he would kill, like the walls would shake because on top of him being funny, he was doing like an impression of a guy who announced your seat was ready at a steakhouse.
Right.
That everybody knew. You can't do that in New York. You go to Willie's in Dorchester. It's like, hey, your table's ready for 16. Like hitting the walls laughing because he's doing local references.
That's like
there's not a lot of people in Boston.
When Nick and Louis both moved to New York, they were so far ahead of us in terms of like road ability because they had like basically grew up in that kind of jungle of like powerful acts, whereas in New York we're all like, do you think this is funny? And they're like, why are you guys so not, it's like they were so competitive up there that they were like the best, the cream of the crop that they got out of there,
And the younger guys, like you really had to be funny and quick because the older guys up there, like that guy, like Don Gavin, Kenny Rogers, and those guys were Lenny Clark, were so brutal on the younger guys. Like down here times a million. You'd have to really fight for an inch of funny space. You had to be quick and you had to have a thick skin and go back at them.
And they talked faster than like a New Yorker.
God.
It was like 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And there also was like the real opportunity of being beaten to death up there.
Right.
I mean,
no, exactly.
And I'm talking like we're like you're really afraid to mix it up with the crowd because the crowd can fight. You know, this was like during this is
Southie.
There's like a Chuck Norris film waiting to happen there. Somebody wants to wheel kick you in the face.
Right.
You know, just like, you know.
Like Mark Wahlberg's a movie star that's not a pussy. Like he'll knock you out.
Boston's strong in Boston fights. I mean, like, I know that. I've seen more punch-ups on the sidewalk out there. A lot of in heels, by the way. A lot of chicks going at it, girl on girl.
How rough the cellar was in the early 90s.
Yes.
That was a fucking
That was a little battle.
Yes.
Well, the great story about, again, that Boston attitude, and then Nick had it times a million. That great story about Nick and Patrice, where even like something that would sound caring coming out of a normal person's voice, like with a guy from Boston, especially Nick, sounds like a dagger to your heart. Like that story with Nick and Patrice, where Patrice got a physical, and everybody kind of knew he was getting a physical. Nick said to him, "How was your physical?" You know, like how was your? How was your physical? How was your physical? Like just like a death. Like I'm still like, how was your physical? Like, I don't care about you, but I want to know how your physical was. And Patrice said, this is the greatest story. Patrice said, "Man, I got 7 out of 10 things that kill niggas." And like a bullet, Nick goes, "Is one of them a handgun?" I mean, that's a Boston conversation. Because Patrice was from Boston too.
Right.
That's a Boston conversation.
Yeah. They break balls in a whole nother level in Boston. And it's like you said, too, the fights. I've seen guys beat the shit out of guys wearing, they're in a suit fighting, perfectly. Right. I remember that I went to the Fenway and saw the Phillies play the Red Sox, and like afterwards, the guy was wearing a Phillies hat. Someone said something.
Fenway. What are you, Sarah Jessica Parker? Fenway. You said the Fenway.
I said the Fenway. Did I? No, I didn't.
I made a homer.
I think I said the and stopped, and then said Fenway. So, I remember seeing a guy in a fucking suit just throw a guy from Philly across a car.
Well, do you remember the guy who was the manager of the Comedy Connection, the booker? I think his name was Frankie or Nicky. He had he acted like James Cagney. He's an Italian guy from Boston. And he had that twitch with his shoulders all the time, and he could get you anything. And he was, I think, he was a gambler. There's that great story. Colin Quinn was on stage, and two big time, enforcers for a local bookie came in, and while Colin's on stage, 8 feet from the stage, beat the living fuck.
Yes.
You know that story, Dave?
Yes, I know.
Yeah, Colin's on stage, and this guy's beating the fuck out of this guy. And these guys were just pros at this book. He sent the bouncers, the poor guys from the Comedy Connection. The bouncers tried to break it up. They were in the hospital for 6 months. These guys were professional, goons who just fucking beat the fuck out of this guy, the manager, and the bouncers for the Comedy Connection while Colin's on stage.
And here's the saddest part, because when I first started headlining there, he was the guy who was the nicest to me. This degenerate
the guy I'm talking about.
He knows me. You'll get him next time, kid. Don't worry about it.
He was great to me, too.
Yeah, I see big things for you.
You're all right. You're all right. You're all right. You're all right. And he said old-time phrases like, "What do you hear? What do you say? Yeah, what do you hear? What do you say?"
That was the old Boston. It's not like that at all now. I mean, it's very metro up there. It's all sculling and recycling. And
everything changed. It's all sculling.
It's like that everywhere. It's just nobody, I think my generation, we got very few comics who were left that was you gotta be funny. In Philly, it was tough as shit.
That's another town, Philly.
But then now, I'm gonna be honest, I go back to, I was these kids are shit. Because everybody left who cared. Everybody left who was you gotta be funny. Now they're I'm working on this thing about grits. And it's what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Grits?
Shut up. Write a fucking joke that people can laugh at. Stop having everybody sitting there thinking for 45 minutes straight. No one cares.
I noticed that. You said come and do a spot after, because I was at Helium in Philly. You said come and do a spot at this bar, and I'm like, dude, in Philly we're gonna do at a bar? That's gonna be terrible. But nowadays comedy's different. You can do fucking comedy in a bar, and they listen. You're this is weird.
What is your great bit? Sorry to make you do a bit, but your bit about a guy trying to open up a Cowboys bar in Philly or something. In L.A., they had
trying to think what the premise of that show
was.
In some cities. It was because I lived in San Diego.
A walkout on a podcast.
He's a walking Russ.
Enough of this.
He's out of here.
Walk out with a nice, delicious boo, Russ.
Russ is not a typical Joe bit. It's good.
You just cracked up
Filato. Filato loved that one.
That was a
all right, good. No, but I love this one.
It was based on truth, which was I lived in San Diego, and I used to there was all these theme bars for all the different teams, and I grew up in Philly, and I said you could never do that there.
You can never open a Cowboys bar.
You can't open a Cowboys bar in Philly. First day it's open, burnt to the ground. I go, there's two Guidos from Philly out front of it going, what happened? He's like, I don't know, cuz. I go, the owner yelled, how about those? And then they lit him on fire.
How about those?
Yeah. And some people don't get it. They don't get it
on fire.
Yeah.
That's a great
That's
deal.
hilarious.
San Diego is another town where, like, I give you much props for even starting there.
I've had horrible.
I didn't start there. I lived there for a year, but I hit with.
I've had horrible comedy experiences.
It's
in San
a worse
Diego.
place for comedy.
San Diego's that bad?
Is that what you're saying, Dave? Like, what do you mean?
No, there's no real comedy scene there because there's no need for it. I mean, it's like a bar town. It's
don't
a
care.
biker town. It's a military town. You know, I guess they might have an open mic on an aircraft carrier or something like that. You know, whatever. I don't know. But every time I've done comedy there, it's like, oh, you got to understand, it's like dollar shots down at, you know, whatever, the vroom
Or they're
vroom.
jet skiing. It's very outdoorsy, you know. Like, people don't want you exactly right.
Dude, I lived there for a year. For my wife was doing an internship in San Diego, and
I didn't she was Mexican. That's what we call it in San Diego, an internship.
I was at an age where I go, I'm not having a long distance relationship. I'm 38. I'm marrying this girl. Fuck it. I'll move there for a year with you. In my head, I thought I could drive to LA, but
That's
you
what
can't because it takes like 5 hours in traffic.
And I have to say, that's when Joe was driving across country with this lovely woman who became his wife. I had never met her before. And I'm playing the Improv in Tempe, Arizona. I'm by the pool at the hotel with my ex-girlfriend, Dana. This is like, 10 years ago? You went out there? Something like that? Maybe more?
I've been married for 9 years, so it's probably 12 years ago.
Yeah, so he shows up, and I go, what are you doing? He goes, we were driving across country, and I saw your name on the marquee. I said to my, my fiance, my girlfriend, I know that guy. Let's say hi. And you told me what you were doing.
And we were only dating for 7 months then.
And the Joe Matarese I knew was the guy like, oh, let's get some chicken wings. My Capizios need to be steamed. So I said, wait a minute. I tried to explain to my girlfriend when you left. I said, he's driving across country with a chick he's known for 7 months to be in San Diego. He's taking a break from comedy so she could do her internship. Like, Joe is a different man. And you told me you were going to commute from San Diego to L.A. for the comedy. And I said, that's not going to work.
This is how
I didn't say it out loud. I said, but that's not going to work.
This is how bad the comedy scene was there. I opened a club in a rock bar, and I was doing stand-up on the weekends, and I would host the shows, and I was booking guys from L.A. to come down, right? And I was running the door with my wife. And this is me, pre-Celexa, anger problem me, getting heckled and wanting to kill people every third show.
Right.
I remember a woman came in, and she looks at me and goes, what's this comedy shit? And I go, we're doing comedy here on the weekends. If you're here to see music, it's after the comedy show. She's like, oh. I go, it's a $10 cover. $10? I'm like, yeah. I go, you can't pay it. You're not coming in. She goes, what do you mean? I want to watch it. And she goes, you're not allowed. I go, you're not allowed to watch it. I know you're going to be a problem. And she goes, no. I'll be great. And I go, I guarantee you're going to yell from the back at the comedians. I just can tell. And she goes, you're crazy. And she gave me the $10. She got kicked out in like 10 minutes. She was fucking heckling. I fucking knew it.
I relate to that. I'm doing that with these assholes on Twitter who start complaining. It's $6.95 a month. It's $80 a year. And these guys go, what do I get for my $80? Because it's a little steep. I'm like, what are you, a chimney sweep? $80 a year is. I said, don't, please. I'm begging you, don't sign up. I'm begging you. Really. I'm begging you not to sign the fuck up. I'll give you $80 not to sign up.
Yeah, and you don't even have to ever meet them or interact.
Say to me, listen, I don't think, if you say to me, I don't think you're funny, I don't need another bill in my life, but as a grown man to tell me $80 is steep, you know what, go fuck yourself. $80 a year is steep. Have 4 less chai lattes.
I was just going to say,
fucking fag.
People are so weird with money. They'll be like, $6.95 a month. Oh, 19 for that martini? Yeah,
right.
there you go.
I know exactly. I mean, this is 4 days a week of laughter.
Crazy.
No, but I'm the same way. I'm like, please don't. I'm begging you not to sign up because you're going to be bitching like a fucking pussy stench broad.
And I just remembered another hilarious Dave Attell moment in my life. This isn't a stand-up.
Don't run over all these great jokes I can make on the cheap. Now, Artie, I don't see why you don't, for the budget conscious fan. How about a Groupon deal? Maybe
How about a Me Too Poupon deal?
Yeah, give them a half sandwich, half soup kind of situation here. They get half of your podcast, and then they listen to a police scanner or something for their.
They do. They want shit.
Yeah.
They would actually look into that.
Police scanner.
Chris, you'll laugh at this because we were Philly comics. When you're in Philly, what do you do before you move to New York? You make a couple of drives up and you go, let's just go watch. So it's me and another comic sitting in the back thinking no one knows we're comics and we can just watch, right? Being the Philly comics. And Dave comes up and just looks at us and you go into my ear, you go, this is going to be really hard.
And you walked away. It's so funny. I was like, motherfucker.
You have the memory of a pothead.
That's another thing. Dave doesn't realize that a lot of people looked up to him, so he doesn't remember
I do remember everybody staring at me. There's a lot of like when I go to San Francisco, there would always be like the local acts there,
Right.
And there's something about a guy who I guess is the party guy wearing a Hawaiian shirt in the back with his arms crossed, looking at you like, he doesn't look that good.
I know. That is pressure. Then it's pressure. Yeah.
Every town has that one guy, so you're like, whatever. Yeah. But I would say one thing about the New York scene that I think is the coolest is that, we're kind of spoiled with the amount of stage time, but you earn every second of it because it takes you a long time to get it.
Yeah.
Once you get the stage time, I mean, it's never a smooth ride. Whereas when you go to LA, especially now, the crowds there are pretty attentive, whether they're having a good time or not. It's anyone's guess. But in New York, you pretty much know right away whether you're doing okay or not. In LA, you could be like. You're like, wow, this is definitely like spoken word, and I don't do that. And they're very quiet and nodding, and a lot of that. Few groans, of course. That's the new thing in comedy that I think you and I have talked about. The groaning. The groaning. There used to be actual, heckling or laughter. Now there's like in between, kind of the queef reactions. It's not good. It's not bad, but it's not fun.
They're not prepared for what they're about to see. The younger crowds, and the moaning thing is like, just don't make any noise. Just shut up.
Guys moaning though always gets me. No! I have to hear about pussy one more. No! I didn't know you work in a pussy factory, dude. I'm so sorry.
Russ, you ever live in L.A., Russ?
No, I was there for like a couple months and I beat it.
But you tried living there for a couple months.
I was Judah's apartment. But,
I heard you tried to get a open mic at a bar in San Diego, but some guy was a little rough on you. See, I listen.
It's such a different. It's so funny that New York and L.A. are the same. The two capitals of the same business, but they're so fucking different. If you're someone who's happy in New York, there's a good chance you're not going to be in L.A., but you're forced to go out there every once in a while.
Isn't Brooklyn more like that alty kind of spoken wordy kind of scene?
It might be, but I don't notice the Cellar being groany and not able to handle shit.
I do.
I get brutal. I get pretty rough with my material, and I don't really. I know.
Well, you're pleasant. You're pleasant looking.
Oh. But I think they roll.
When you look like an ogre, as I've heard on Twitter.
Russ is one of my favorites. He was on the Comedy Underground show. You're underrated. I think you're super funny, and some of your jokes, everybody repeats your joke, especially.
He's amazing.
Thank you, brother.
He's real smart and funny.
Glad I came today.
The bagel joke. What's the other one that?
They're quotable.
They're really good, and
which is why I'll never act or be. I don't. The guys that write the better jokes can't act.
That's weird when you meet like a really attractive guy and he doesn't want to be an actor. That's like that's like Superman walking. Don't you think it's like, dude, you could be an actor like in a second? No, don't want to do it.
I know. The good-looking guys that everybody laughs at them because they're good-looking in their life, so they think they're funny.
Well, here's the new of it is that when I first started doing comedy, my manager said, we're going to get you in a writing program, and we're going to, Disney, you'll learn how to write a movie.
A writing program?
And he basically was going...
a writing program?
He was basically saying, you are too ugly to be on camera. You're ugly. You're ugly. We'll call you next week ugly. That was like the conversation. Now you look at these writers, like they're all good-looking, tall guys. Like good-looking guy, big Adam Apple. There's a ponytail, like hot-looking dudes. And then the on-camera people are like the normal-looking kind of thugs.
It's totally switched.
Yeah,
it's changed around.
It really has.
It's gotten a lot. I don't know if it's social media thing and people's attitudes change, but it's a much different business than it was 20 years ago.
Don't you think the writers are the guys that are more like normal, a little less dysfunctional? They want to be able to live in a house and have a kid. And,
and very often they cannot handle themselves on stage, really. The charisma's not there. It's flat.
Well, they don't put the time in.
That's the other part of it. And absolutely. And I love when these people on the road book guys who, are supposedly make a name for themselves on Twitter, and then they're surprised when they bomb. It's I'm like, what do you mean you're surprised at that? Of course, how could that not be surprising to you?
Right.
I mean, Jesus.
But a really good guy, you just sense it right away when he gets up there.
Yeah. Someone who has, some sort of presence and shit.
Comment?
I got
me?
Don't fall asleep.
Yeah,
Dave
really,
awake?
really, Dave.
I was just going to say the Comedy Underground show, which all you guys were a part of.
Talk about that.
You guys.
I
was just going to say that show. Although
thanks a lot, man.
I think I apologize. Sorry.
I'll come by and hang out.
You meant it when you said this is going to be hard.
No, I was just
never going to help you.
I was just going to say that show is what comedy used to look like, which was like basically really unfiltered and uncensored, and like an old hack like myself hosting was a fun ride for me because I got to I got to think on my feet and bring up the new acts, and like it was really difficult. And I think the crowd really dug the whole idea of like the comedy club feel. And now that the show probably will not come back, I don't think that they will, renew it. I'm not sure, but
well, Tosh.0 has a full block of
So they have other choices, but I would say that the live version is way fun too. And like we have another one coming out January 27th at the Comedy Underground, Village Underground, which is where we do the Comedy Underground.
It's great. No, it's a fun,
and everybody's had fun doing it.
Yeah, no, it's
and I hope
I'm taping my special there in April.
Really?
At the Underground, yeah.
Well,
because of you.
I hope there's some luck left in the room after our one season on air. But you'll love it. Though. You'll love it because that is a great room, and it's so cool to just get the guys up there and like it's not just the comedy. I mean, we banter around.
No, I've been lucky
you and I did on my birthday.
I've been lucky enough to go up there and like throw out the first joke, as you said, and then and then do a set. And we did have fun. Well, you do that with a lot of guys. Like Russ goes on stage. Dave does this thing where he pulls guys on stage.
Yeah, me and Jeff Raw. I mean, like the whole thing is like to keep pushing it and see how far you can do it.
The other night for Dave's birthday, we had a blast. Me, Dave, and Kevin Brennan. It was nice to do that for your birthday. We were on stage like goofing. But
what did you say we looked like? I remember you said
we looked like an audition for One Direction.
Yes,
I look like the Joey Fatone of One Direction. But no, it's listen. You gotta keep rolling. Who's it? You Russ? You were saying that it's different now, or maybe Joe was saying it that a lot of people, a lot of comics in the old days, you didn't linger at clubs, but now guys have nothing else to do. People stay at the even the really good, great comedians, they stay at the Cellar. They just keep doing spots, compared to the old days where people moved on.
Well, Russ and I were saying, like, back 10 years ago, we all would, I got 10 spots. And like that, that's what it was. You'd be like, boom, 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 boom. Now it's like, you can't sync it up. It's impossible. The managers switch too often. The bookers change.
It's not just that. There's a backlog. Like, when we came into town, all these guys had gone on.
Right.
They moved on.
They left. Yeah.
They left.
That was the point.
And now all these guys with all these credits and all this ability, and it's just this backlog, and there's nowhere to go.
Well, you talk about the guys who manage the clubs too. Sometimes they're so out of touch. That guy, that real tall guy, Tim Davis, who was stand up New York.
Oh my God!
I mean, I didn't want to be arrogant, but I had been on Mad TV for 2 years and a sitcom for 2 years. So and he knew that about me, and he's trying to get me to MC. And he calls me. I go, I don't feel like MC, and he goes, $60. Tim, I don't want to sound like an arrogant asshole, but you really think that's going to get me off the couch right now?
Right.
$60 to MC from 6 p.m. to 2 on Valentine's Day, giving out Mylar balloons to Jessica.
This fucking business attracts the worst people.
Yeah. I had an MC on Valentine's Day there once. He wanted me to hand out Mylar balloons. You talk about being less into it. I was like, trying to be a little romantic.
Like when
free wings.
When I started
free wings.
like one of the big things that one of the cool things that I got to do was work the door at the old Improv in the city with Kevin Brennan and
9th and 44th.
Yeah, and it was really good when you talk about a backlog. There was that was a different time because all the comics who were hanging there were waiting for their Seinfeld. They were waiting to be the next Seinfeld. And if you talk to every one of them, they already had the sitcom ready, what they thought they could do, what they were like, if I don't make it as the lead, I'll be the funny, wacky friend, or if things go really bad, I'll at least be a writer making $5,000 a week in LA, and it'll be hilariously
that was
fun.
The mentality. If things
and
go
then
bad,
none of them did anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
And the one thing they didn't do was work on their act. So I saw the same act every night, and then heard a different variation on this fantasy story afterwards. And it was so funny because the one comic or two comics that came through that were really, really good, like Bill Hicks, they were like, what, everybody knew he was awesome. He was he was like, whatever. It was like looking into the sun. It was that whoa, what was that? And then all the people at the club what's with this guy? What an attitude, and I'm like, this is what real comedy is.
They don't get it.
Yeah, because everybody else was basically, whatever. They were stuck.
How great would it be to have Bill Hicks around today to comment on the world today? TV today, and really just lace into the Kardashians. Bill Hicks is
Venom.
Right.
You're right. He would just oh man, he was
be
the
great
original.
to have that. Yeah.
Does Stanhope have that? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Doug Stanhope, who is my favorite comic.
I love him, man.
He is pretty much, but he's not like Bill. Bill was a little preachy. Doug is not preachy like that. Doug is for I like to think of him as the end of days. He's all we're all going to go down, so you might as well just enjoy the moment, that kind of thing.
He goes down swinging. That's what I love about him. He's the direct opposite of the comic you were talking about going for the sitcom, not working on their act. Direct opposite.
Yes.
I'm not going to suck that dick of I got to work on my sitcom set. I'm trying to be good and honest, and I think that's why I like everybody here sitting here. Russ is that times a million. I mean that in the best way. It just Chris, the jury's out, of course. But what about it? Are you aware of the Bill Hicks legend? Do you know him? Of him? Or?
A little bit.
Yeah.
How about Bill Bellamy?
Research. Bill Bellamy, How to Be a Player, was a game changer. No, I just know I know shit. You know what I mean? Because I do my research on everything. Whatever I don't know. I'm young.
You don't
I know
know
a lot
shit.
Of shit.
No.
But
Bill Hicks is a guy you should know a lot about.
I was a comedy nerd, I guess, to some degree, but I really it's so easy now to listen to comedy on the web and all that kind of stuff. But when I was growing up, you really had to commit to it. You had to buy an album or a tape. And you had to listen to it.
Right.
And now there's so many different ways to listen to comedy. But I would say that before I was a comic, when I was listening to comedy, that was the coolest. When it was just me and George Carlin in my room.
Right. No, absolutely. I remember the first album I ever got. My older cousin Jeff gave me Class Clown by Carlin, and then I got That Nigger's Crazy by Richard Pryor.
I remember having my mom buy that for me at Sam Goody. Yeah. I go, Mom, can I get this?
Yeah. So far, I have a similar story. Bradley's department store was set up where you had to ask the guy behind the counter for the album you wanted.
Right.
And on cassette, there was a black kid behind the counter. I'm trying to get that Richard Pryor album. What is the name of that? That Nixon's Crazy. But you're right. It was just you and them in the room, and there was something romantic about it.
That's a perfect word.
Yeah.
I think every comedian anybody became a comedian when a young comedian special would come on, or any stand-up special back when HBO was new and emerging. Just wow. I remember being a kid wow.
Eddie Murphy's Delirious.
Tapes.
Eddie Murphy Delirious.
Yeah.
That first Richard Pryor. Yeah. George Carlin at Carnegie, the early George Carlin HBO specials.
Those specials on HBO, I'd be riveted.
Right.
I remember, I was doing stand-up, like I said, started in the late 80s. And my first road gig, and I had just watched him on The Dirtiest Dozen, which was a pay-per-view. Wasn't it? You had to pay to watch it on cable. Was Bill Hicks. I called the booker because I was the MC at my local club in Philly. I still remember the guy, Alex Raimondo, this Mexican comedian, and his girlfriend booked.
Here's a comedian.
Oh no, he was Mexican.
His girlfriend booked. His girlfriend Sarah Nye or something. You might know her. She booked a whole bunch of improvs. He goes, call her up on the phone. She'll give you a road gig. She'll book you at the Improv in Cleveland. So I call her, and she goes, okay, here's the week. The headliner's Bill Hicks. And I literally said, get the fuck out of here, out loud. She goes, well, why are you saying that? My first row, I go, he's fucking amazing. I just watched him on this thing. Right. Oh my God.
You know what Hicks...
And now I'm picking him up at his hotel every day, taking him to the gig, and I watched every single show.
What a great moment.
And then it was never that good again. Like I was never working with headliners where I'm watching them every show.
It's never that good again a lot of times early on. But what set Hicks apart to me was, because a lot of times a lot of his politics I didn't even agree with a lot, but he was on top of the anger, and which was always good listening to him rant, was he was actually a funny person, like joke-wise.
Yeah.
Yes.
He wrote great fucking jokes.
Well, he's another
Like
one.
that
He didn't have the charisma off stage, but on stage it was there 1,000%.
Oh,
So he wrote.
He came alive.
I just didn't know him well enough.
Yeah.
Well,
he was probably pretty charismatic.
No, off stage.
Did you know him well?
I met him 3 times, and every time it was like, I guess what like being a new comic, it was like, I can't believe Bill Hicks just talked to me.
Yeah.
But I would say that my favorite parts with him would be when he'd go into like a rant about like the government or something like that, and then somebody would heckle, and he would like slam him down like a guy who's worked the funny bone for 10 years because he started when he was 15. So he had all the road skills that you need. Because he was like a master. So he had all the road skills. Whereas these all comics are like, I'm like him, man. I'm like, no, you're not. No. You've never played Alabama. Yeah. You've never played any of these places.
He was a technician on stage on top of being the artist.
Yeah, and you know, if anything, he dabbled in the drugs and all that stuff for the experience, the mind-openingness, and also just, I think, the sheer boredom of having to perform for like mall comedy crowds. But he wanted to take it to the next level. So
a lot of people forget that. A lot of people might think he was totally clean for a while before.
He was totally clean.
And he got pancreatic cancer. It takes you out in 2 months, but he was
such a talented guy.
He was.
Guitars, like films,
and
with his
staying
friends.
true to what he believed in. You know, the whole thing was like. But I love the fact that he could do something really crazy, political and nuts and angry, and all this venom, and then write a joke like your boss says to you. One of my favorite jokes is, "Why don't you? Can you at least pretend like you're working?" And he would say, "Well, why don't you pretend like I'm working?" Or the cops fights when he got pulled over. When he got pulled over by the cops, and he started dancing because he thought the sirens were the lights at the next club.
How many times has that bit been hacked by a million comics? Like a million,
right? And he's again, he could do those kind of jokes combined with the really angry, political, funny shit. You know, like he's DePaulo's favorite comic, and he's as left wing as it gets. Like that, it's like. No matter what you thought of his opinions, he just was so funny, you know.
But to me, Sam Kinison now is my favorite guy. Like that's the guy that I never got to see live. I wanted to see him live.
I saw him live.
Yeah. No, I never met him.
I saw him at the Beacon live.
You did?
Yeah, I thought and he wasn't fucked up. I saw him at Rascals. He was on Howard, and he was drunk on Howard at 7:30 in the morning. And me and my buddies, we were working construction. We had tickets for him, and we're framing a house in like Linden, New Jersey. And we said, like, he's not gonna make the show. And he made the show, and he was falling off the stage. It was horrible. Like, people called Howard the next day, like, we want our money back, blah, blah, blah. And it was sad. But then I saw him at the Beacon, completely sober. It's one of the best stand-up sets I've ever seen.
Nobody's more powerful than that guy. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, there's a couple of guys who are, like, just, like, energy, you know, power, and then, like, his control. But I that's the one guy that I really wish that I had seen live, you know?
Yeah.
That's what, I watched a lot of DVDs before, but then after a while I stopped. I was like, I'd rather go see everybody live. I want to see the real energy.
You have the opportunity to,
Yeah, whenever, like the same way y'all talk about the romance of like watching in your house. I like going to I like comedy clubs. Like when I first went to a comedy club, I felt the same way you felt when you watched. Like first time I watched live on Sunset Strip, fucking Richard Pryor in the house by myself, like for the 9th time. Yeah. That's how I feel every time I can sit there and walk into a comedy club and really watch somebody I want to see.
Well, like, it depends. Well, that you're talking about one of the best sets ever, but a lot of times you get disappointed at a club too.
I don't even. I like that. I like one of my favorite sets from him. Also is when I forgot the name of the special. I can't think of it. When he was in Oakland and they were sitting people down and he was telling jokes then. And
is that special or an album?
It was like an album, but they recorded it and they put it out, and it was okay. It was a concert, and it was okay from Rich, and it was like one of the things. I love that because that's how it really is. Like those moments where people are sitting down, like they're coming late, and he's like, "This shit has to start."
Well, you can't. Sometimes you can't release everything. But
but it was a great. I loved it
for him though. Like there's times at the Cellar I've been so disappointed in Aziz Ansari's set when I sit there and I'm like, "Geez, I want to see this. I want to see the master." Well, listen, guys, thanks. We'll wrap it up. I want to go around and give the plugs, but this was great.
Artie, congratulations, man. Thanks for having me out here.
Thanks, Dave. Anytime, man. You got to open it.
I'm so impressed with this whole operation. I thought we were going to be sitting on some crates. Maybe two guys playing dominoes.
Flaming garbage can.
Well, happy birthday to officially.
Oh, thank
The
you.
great David Attell. The great David Attell still kicking.
Yes.
And so tell us, where can we see you? Come on.
50 more days. Come on, I can do it. Me, I'm up first? All right. This weekend, that would be, I think...
Punchline Atlanta.
Punchline Atlanta. And then big show, January 27th at the Village Underground, the Comedy Underground. And you can go to the Comedy Underground Live webpage. We just launched it.
Right.
And you can also go to my website, davidattell.com, and you can see all my dates. And, once again, dude, thank you again for having me on the
Thanks.
show.
Come back anytime. Russ Meneve, what do you got?
RussMeneve.com. Just go there, and all the information is available.
Absolutely.
Smooth, dude.
Boy, that really stepped on Dave's whole fucking mind.
I know, really. Yeah, I was a blathering idiot up here.
Also, real quick, to see Dave and I in a sketch that never aired on
All right,
Saturday
already
Night,
with
go to YouTube and put in Kyle Mooney SNL sketch, Artie Lang, David Attell.
This is your Rashomon.
Go ahead.
Over there.
I want people to see it.
All right.
JoeMatarese.com. You can check out Fixing Joe podcast there and the Fixing Joe web series there. And you can
Soon
also
to be here.
Follow me on Twitter, soon to be on Artie's feed. Follow me on Twitter at the Joe Matarese. And this weekend I'll be in Toms River, New Jersey at Bust a Gut Comedy Club.
Nice.
Sounds fake.
You
Sounds
nailed
like a
it.
fake club.
I'll tell you, we got to think of a different word because the fat jokes on Twitter are Artie's feed. Soon to be on Artie's feed.
Oh, no.
No, it's fine. Chris Cotton.
At Cotton215 on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. And CenterCityComedy.com, Center City Comedy Podcast, and the Fresh World Problems Podcast.
All right.
I don't see why you should be using police language. 215. Man down, 215.
ArtieQuitter.com for everything. I'll be at Cobb's in San Francisco, February 21st.
Great club.
Yes, and I'll be at the Borgata, Valentine's Day, Borgata in Atlantic City. Chicago Dan Filato. Thanks, buddy. Let me know about my Sam Simon story. Let me know what you think on Twitter, and we'll talk more tomorrow. Kind of a heavy scene. Also, we'll get to those phone calls. The voicemails. There's a lot of funny voicemails we didn't get to today. We're going to get to tomorrow for sure. And that's it. Take care. Brush your hair.